A service of KIBMradio.com, the Internet's home for an all old-time radio.
This, I believe. Samuel M. Best of Malden, Massachusetts, is a big businessman with some very unbusinesslike ideas. President of the multimillion-dollar Cuticura Corporation, which manufactures soap and ointment, he and his company give away 2/3 of their net profits each year. His beliefs explain why.
Many years ago, I met a man whose unique psychology helped me to shed a life of struggle and uneasiness for great happiness, for peace of mind, and for a measure of success I otherwise would not have attained. His name was George Robert White, a man who was orphaned and impoverished at a tender age, yet a man whose God-given beliefs made him both a material and a spiritual millionaire at 30. My path to success, and to what I had considered its natural result, happiness, was the ordinary road over which most American businessmen travel, namely, endless hours of hard work, social contacts, wise investments, headaches, and heartaches. To be sure, in a materialistic sense, I had traveled a long way from my father's farm in Nova Scotia. I had become an executive in a multi-million-dollar drug firm. But where was the resulting happiness that my material gain was supposed to have afforded me? In my private moments of mental inventory, I discovered that I had no more peace of mind, nor was I less afraid of the problems of life and death than those experienced many years before when I planned my road to happiness and success by the flickering lamp of my father's tiny farmhouse. The reason was I had neglected spiritual values in my anxiety for material gain. It took the kindly advice of George Robert White to open the pathway for me to happiness and freedom of mind. The important lesson Mr. White taught me is this: if we are to be happy, if we are to be successful in every aspect of the word, if we are to live truly full lives, we must share ourselves as well as our material gain with our fellow men. As a young man, Mr. White took over the leadership of a small soap manufacturing plant in Boston, and throughout his career he gave away to charity a large part of his net profits. Yet, despite his unusual business practices, Mr. White built that tiny concern into the world-famous Cuticura Corporation and became the multi-million-dollar manufacturer of Cuticura soap, ointment, and shampoo. I shall never forget Mr. White's words. Personal success, business success, built upon materialism alone, are empty shells, concealing disappointed, saddened lives, which he epitomized by saying, "Cast your bread upon the waters." And since Mr. White's death, I endeavored as his successor to adhere to his code of ethics. $2 out of every $3 profit earned by our corporation he shared with others in helping to make our nation a better place in which to live. We in our corporation believe that it is not sufficient only to manufacture as fine a product as possible. Millions of dollars over the years are being shared by our corporation for the advancement of medicine and science, for chemical research, for art, and for beauty. In my personal life, I have adopted Mr. White's beliefs, and in so doing, I have become much better equipped to serve humanity. My reward, my blessings have come to me in the form of personal satisfaction and peace of mind that had been substantially foreign to me. Yes, I believe that spirituality is the needed seasoning to America's materialism, but it must be that kind of spirituality that takes the form of help and service toward our fellow men.
That was Samuel M. Best, president of the Massachusetts College of Pharmacy and of the Cuticura Corporation. Born and raised in poverty, his convictions have been shaped in part by his own experience with the realities of life.
The Anchor Hawking Glass Corporation brings you Crime Photographer.
Ethelbert, what on earth's going on over there? Oh, that's Grace. I can't get her away from that piano.
Tell her to let Herman play.
Oh, Grace! That's enough. Thanks.
Besides, this is the famous noise abatement week.
Well, it may be famous, Casey, but it's not as famous as my favorite line. Anchor Hocking is the most famous name in glass. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is Tony Marvin. Every week at this time, the Anchor Hocking Glass Corporation of Lancaster, Ohio, and its more than 10,000 employees bring you another adventure of Casey, crime photographer, ace cameraman who covers the crime news of a great city. Written by Alonzo Dean Cole, our adventure for tonight, King of the Apes. Mid-afternoon, the Blue Note Cafe. Leaning comfortably on the bar are Casey and Ann Williams. And behind the bar, its chief custodian, Ethelbert.
You and Miss Williams are going to the circus tonight, huh, Casey?
Yeah, we gotta go, pal. It's an assignment.
Every year, Ethelbert, he's found an excuse to go to the circus.
You think I like to go to the circus, honey?
Well, if you don't, you'd better reserve yourself a chair in the old men's home.
She's right, Casey. Any guy who can't enjoy the circus is slipping, and fast.
I love the clowns and the elephants.
I still like the brass bands and the peanuts and popcorn.
Well, I go for the lady bareback riders and the lady acrobats and the lady...
That's enough.
Well, I just wanted to establish that I'm not slipping, Annie. I'm simply matured, that's all.
What kind of assignment you two got at the big show?
Principally, we're covering the feature act, King of the Apes.
They say that's swell. According to pictures on the billboards, that fella, the king, keeps 20 or 30 giant gorillas under his complete control.
Now, circus posters underrate a little bit, Ethelbert. The 20 or 30 giant gorillas are really 6 orangutans.
And their trainer isn't the king. His name is King. Charles King.
Oh. But an orangutan is a pretty big monkey, huh?
Big enough. The full-grown male can break a couple of Joe Lewises in two.
Then I guess 6 orangutans are plenty for a guy to go into a cage alone with.
I'd say so. Well, we'd better get over to the circus, Annie. It's nearly time for our date.
Oh, yeah.
I thought you said you were going to the circus tonight.
We're interviewing Mr. King after the matinee performance. We're seeing the show tonight.
Oh.
Well, so long, pal.
So long, Ethelbert.
Have a good time, and don't let him lock you up in the monkey cage.
Nuts to you, pal, and so long.
So long, Casey. And nuts to you.
King's dressing room is this way, Annie.
The afternoon show is still going on. Casey, let's peek through those back curtains.
Oh, no. Look, we'll see the whole thing from out front tonight, Annie. Besides, that's the wind-up you hear now, the grand finale.
Oh, yeah, I guess it is. Oh, look. The clowns are coming from the ring. Oh, let's walk.
Oh, I've seen clowns before. We've got a date,
Oh,
Annie.
just a minute, Casey.
Oh, okay. Nice-looking performers coming through the curtains now. That one in the black spangled tights has got beautiful eyes.
We'll find Mr. King.
No, I'm in no hurry, Annie.
We've got a date.
Huh? Oh. Okay. There. That's the star dressing room there.
Well, give a knock.
Oh, wait a minute. There's several star dressing rooms. Well, here's the one with the king's name on it.
Don't you dare call me that.
I'll call you worse if I catch you with that bond finale again.
You better not, you big poker.
A little argument inside that room, Casey.
Oh, King.
I'm fed up with your jealousy. If I feel like talking to a man, any man, I'm
You're
going
not
to.
going to sneak up in corners with Finelli again, I tell
Try
you.
and stop me.
I'll stop you.
Don't you put your hands on me. Don't
Time to break this up, Annie. Come on.
That knock should do it.
Who's there?
Miss Williams and Casey in the Morning Express. If you're Mr. King, your press agent made a date for us to see you.
Oh, yes, of course. Just a moment.
That ended the battle, Casey.
Sure did.
Please come in.
Well, thank you.
Miss Williams and Mr. Casey, you said?
That's right.
I'm Charles King. Nice to know both of you.
Nice to know you.
Mr. King.
Allow me to present my wife.
Mrs. King.
How'd you do? If you'll excuse me, I'll be running along.
Wait, Bernice.
Yeah?
This lady and gentleman are going to do a feature story about the act. Don't you want to stay?
Your act, Charlie. They don't want to interview me. See you later.
I'd like you to stay.
I've got some shopping to do. Nice to meet you, Miss Williams and Mr. Casey. So long.
So long.
My wife is always on the go, as you Americans say. You pardon her, I'm sure.
Certainly.
I'm very grateful for this visit. Publicity is the lifeblood of show business. Perhaps I'd better take you downstairs to the animal room. The three of us and my orangutans can get acquainted all at the same time.
Right.
I fancy that's what you wish.
Yes, sir, that's it.
Yeah.
Come on, then. We'll walk down that ramp to the animal room.
Right. Careful, Annie. Slip.
Bernice,
What?
I thought you were going shopping.
I am. I just stopped to talk a minute with Mr. Finelli.
Hello, Charlie.
Hello, Finelli. You better get your shopping done, Bernice.
Okay. See you later, Luigi.
Sure, Mrs. King.
Miss Williams, if you and Mr. Casey will excuse me, I want a word with that man.
Yes, of course.
Yeah, go
Mr.
ahead.
King.
Thanks. Just a moment, Finelli.
This seems to be the old triangle business,
And
Casey.
how?
That Finelli is good looking.
Yeah, so is Mrs. King. They're both young.
King must be 50.
Oh, easy. Maybe he looks like a tough guy to tangle with. Huh? He seems to be quietly laying down a little law to Mr. Finelli over there. Look at that.
Thanks for waiting for me.
Not at all. It's all right.
Here's the ramp. The cage of my beast sounds far from the bottom.
Hey, that guy you were talking with had on tights, Mr. King. What is he, an acrobat?
He's a wire walker.
Oh.
Do you good people know very much about orangutans?
Practically nothing.
We've seen a couple in the zoos.
Then perhaps you'd like to have a little basic information for your story, Miss Williams.
Yes, I would.
But the orangutan is found only in Borneo and Sumatra. In size, he is the second of the great apes, ranking next to the gorilla. In intelligence, though some place the chimpanzee in a higher category, I rank the orangutan first. Those are my animals in those two cages.
Casey, we've never seen an orangutan like that big fellow at the zoo.
Oh, that's Nimbu. He's a full-grown male. If he stood upright, which he seldom does, he'd be 5 feet 7 inches tall. And he tips the scale at 22 stone, about 300 pounds.
Why do you keep him alone in that cage? Is he vicious or something?
No, I'm keeping Nimbu separate temporarily because he hasn't been very well.
Oh.
I'm quite worried about him. Without Nimbu, I wouldn't have the same act. And, well, I'm fond of the old fellow.
Seems pretty fond of you. Casey, did you see him reach out his hand to Mr. King like a big child?
Yeah.
I let him take my hand and put his other long arm around my neck.
I wouldn't want him that close to me, brother.
I wouldn't dare permit such familiarity from the one in the next cage.
Oh, he doesn't like you, huh?
Oh, he doesn't like anybody. Fear of Nimbu is the only thing that keeps Dillinger in his place.
Dillinger?
I call him that because he's a public enemy, Miss Williams.
Oh.
Hello, boss.
Oh, hello, Joe. I was beginning to wonder where you were.
I was out getting some fresh medicine for Nimbu.
You know, I never want these animals left alone. Where's Tyan?
He have probably gone for a drink. That man is no good.
Yes, I know that, but he knows Big Ape.
Because he is a little ape himself. Better you should send him back to Borneo where we got him.
I'll have another talk with Tyan. Oh, excuse me, Miss Williams, Mr. Casey. This is Johannes Fleet, my chief assistant.
Mr. Fleet?
How are you, Mr.
Johan knows as much or more about orangutans as I do. He was born in Dutch Borneo and talks their language.
I talk Dutch and English, not ape talk. That is for men like that Tyan.
Tyan, my second assistant. He's a Dayak.
Oh,
a Borneo tribesman. You can write a few colorful lines about him, Miss Williams.
It's feeding time. I go get fruit for your ape.
He's a pleasing character, Casey.
Yeah.
I heard what you said, Miss Williams. Johann Philip is, well, it isn't easy to find men who can properly care for orangutans, and he knows the beast. The same applies to Tyan, who is, as you Americans might say, another stinker.
Hey, Batman.
Oh, there he is. Joe says you were left to watch those animals, Tyan.
Orangutan not go away when locked in cage. Tyan, get thirsty, go first. Get drink.
You're always getting a drink, and I'd like you to...
And if Tyan don't be more good, you send him back chop quick to Borneo. You don't do that, boss man. You need Tyan.
All right. Here's a fresh bottle of medicine. Give him some.
Okay, boss man. First I tell him I gonna do
He's chattering to that big ape. Casey, and the ape answers back.
Well, I'm going to get some pictures of this. This is terrific.
Science seems to really talk ape language, Miss Williams. But I actually believe orangutans have a language, and that some men learn it.
Ah, that ought to be a good shot. Here comes Fleet. I'll get one of him feeding it.
Hey, Bossman, Nimbo, he no look good in the eye, and his tongue very dry. He more sick than before.
Better you should not have him work tonight.
Jack's never so good without Nimbo, Joe.
Never will it be so good if Nimbo die.
Well, the two of you are right, I suppose. I shan't work him tonight.
Oh, then Casey and I won't see him in your act.
I'm sorry, Miss Williams. You won't see him tonight.
Children of all ages, the biggest show in the world is proud to present the most daring, colossal, engrossing, educational exhibition of man's mastery over the savage beast that has ever been witnessed in the history of the universe.
Zip, Annie. This is King Jack.
They're throwing up the cage, Casey.
Most dangerously intelligent animals known to man, orangutans.
Well, that Nimbo sure looks dangerous and wise.
From the jungle
the others we saw
wilds
this
of
afternoon.
Borneo. One man dares to enter the cage, alone and unarmed, and to bend them to his superior will. Ladies and gentlemen, the outstanding, unexcelled star attraction of the circus world, King of the Apes.
Boy, that was some build-up, wasn't it, huh?
The ringmaster did use a few superlatives. Oh, Mr. King looks nice in that jungle explorer's outfit, doesn't he?
Yeah. His wife isn't half bad in her shorts.
She is not in the cage.
Oh, she's just outside over on the left there, Annie.
I see. Look, Casey. They're letting the apes into the ring cage now from those wagons.
Yeah, that Joe Fleet is superintending the job.
I don't see Tyan.
Oh, he's around somewhere, I imagine.
Dillinger's coming into the cage now. Ooh, he's a mean-looking animal.
I'm sorry we're not going to see Nimbo do his stuff. He's a real star of this act, you know.
Yeah, and King depends on him. He told me he doesn't have to carry that big whip in the ring with him when Nimbo's there.
Yeah,
He's the boss.
Look, Annie, look. The big monks are going to ride those tricycles. Look at that, Annie.
I thought you didn't care for circuses.
Well, it's part of my job to come here and take pictures, that's all.
What was that?
Funny cry, wasn't it? Animal or something, I guess.
Casey, those big apes stopped riding in that car. King can't get them to start again. Seem to be listening.
There it goes again. Hey, look at Dillinger.
He's grabbed Mr. King. He's killing him.
He's got him on the throat, Annie. Annie, I'm going to shoot some pictures of this. That cry we heard, Annie. I've got a hunch this wasn't any accident.
Mother's Day is a week from Sunday. Why not make this an occasion to be remembered? Make Mother queen for the day. Keep her out of the kitchen. Let the whole family pitch in and cook this Mother's Day dinner yourselves. It's not as difficult as it sounds, particularly if you rely on Fire King oven glass, the amazing oven glass which practically assures baking results. Plan your meal around a big baked casserole dish. Supplement it with hot bread or biscuits and top the meal off with a homemade pie. Why, it's easy if you follow the recipes and use Fire King oven glass casseroles, pie plates, and baking dishes. At your favorite chain, Variety, Hardware, or department store, you'll find a wide variety of Fire King oven glass, an ideal Mother's Day gift. Prices are amazingly low. Fire King oven glass is a product of Anchor Hocking, the most famous name in glass.
Mr. King of the Apes was buried this morning, huh, Casey?
That's right, Ethelbert. Yeah, Miss Williams and I just came from his funeral.
I suppose the circus folks gave him a big send-off.
They did. The funeral was a circus in itself, complete with brass bands. And Mrs. King gave a fine center ring performance.
What do you mean?
Well, she put on a big act, Ethelbert. She shed crocodile tears all over the place.
And we think she cared about as much for her husband as I care for, well, a 1940 model spring hat.
Was that Wire Walker Finelli there, who you think is her boyfriend?
No, he didn't come to the funeral. Neither did Tyann.
Tyan's the other fellow who was King's assistant, huh?
Yeah, the Dyak from Borneo.
Who's inherited King's place in the act.
You think one of them people had something to do with King's death, don't you?
Well, King was crushed to death by that big orangutan, Dillinger. After he and the other apes in the ring had shown a marked reaction to the peculiar animal cries that everybody heard. Miss Williams and I had seen and heard Tyann talking to Nimbu that afternoon, and a lot of the circus people really believe that he has a special way of communicating with apes.
And fantastic as it may seem, Ethelbert, those cries made by Tyann could have instructed Dillinger to turn on his master.
That isn't fantastic at all, Annie. Not a bit. Dogs, horses, and lots of animals instinctively react to certain sounds, don't they?
Oh, sure. It ain't hard to teach a pooch to sick 'em.
Well, that's right.
He wasn't seen by anybody when them cries were heard, was he? Tyann, I mean.
According to his story, he'd had a few drinks too many and was sleeping them off in the animal's feed room.
Another thing, Ethelbert, an expert from the zoo has examined Nimbu, and he says the big ape wasn't naturally sick. He'd been doped.
Nimbu was the boss monk, and he liked King. He had to be taken out of the act before Tyann could do anything with Dillinger.
What are the cops doing about all this?
Nothing. Nothing they can do. No way of proving that those cries had anything to do with King's death. So it goes down in the books as, what do they call it, accident, incident to a hazardous profession, and that's that.
And we can't even hint at our suspicions in the paper, Ethelbert, without letting the Express in for a libel suit.
Yeah, but in my book, Tyann caused the death of Charles King, and I think Mrs. King put him up to it.
She's now free to play around with Finelli.
And Mrs. King owns the act since her husband's death. I'm sure that she, Finelli, and Tyann were together in this thing, and I...
Excuse me, there's the bar.
Go ahead, fella, go ahead.
Hello, Blue Note Cafe, Ethelbert speaking. Yeah, just a minute. Your city editor, Casey.
Now, give me.
Here.
Hello, Burke. Yes, I'm here again. What? What happened at the Hippodrome?
Hippodrome?
That's where the circus is.
Tell me that again, Burke. We'll get over there right away. So long.
What is it, Casey?
Finelli has been murdered.
Finelli?
And Tyann has been arrested for the killing.
Casey.
Annie, this doesn't add up. It just doesn't add up at all.
How was Finelli killed, Captain Logan?
The same way Marie Antoinette was. His head was cut off.
What? Oh, holy.
The lethal instrument in this case was a curved, razor-edged Dyak knife. It's been identified as belonging to that Borneo native, Tyann, who was found in his dressing room, dead drunk, with the murder knife beside him shortly after the murder was discovered.
Did you sober him up enough to talk?
He was able to deny that he'd killed anyone. Drunk or sober, nearly all killers can do that.
Yeah, but why should he have killed Finelli, though, huh?
Well, the guy's only one generation out of the jungle, and he was drunk. That's two reasons.
Yeah, well, wait a minute, though, Logan. Tyann had just landed himself a sweet job. He'd become the big shot in a big feature act owned by Mrs. King. Oh, why should he pitch his big chance away in his life besides by killing her boyfriend? That doesn't add up.
Look, this Tyann is a semi-savage from Borneo. He was lit to the skylight.
Well,
the murder weapon belonged to him, and we found it beside him. Now, Casey, take your little camera in hand and shoot pretty pictures for the paper. I've got important police work to do. So long, Miss Williams. Try to keep Casey from straining his brain.
Wise guy, Logan.
He's right about Tyann, Casey.
Is he?
Of course he is. We're seeing a nice example of poetic justice. Mrs. King has Tyann arrange her husband's death so she can have Finelli. And then Tyann destroys the man she wanted and himself at the same time, and now she's without a husband, without a boyfriend, and without a means of making a living. She has no one who can work those apes.
Wait a minute. Yes, she has. Johannes Fleet.
Oh, say, I'd forgotten about him.
Yeah, so had I, almost. Annie, from the first, we've been wrong about this whole setup. Can't you see it? Annie Fleet's the guy.
Why?
Well, because he knows more about big apes than King does. I think Johannes Fleet doped Nimbu and gave that cry that caused Dillinger to kill King. And then when Tyan was put in King's place, Fleet pulled a second murder and framed Tyan for it.
Well, where do we go from here?
Well, I don't know.
That's a help.
Oh, wait a minute, Annie. Give me a chance to think here. All right. We'll go to Bernice King.
Mrs. King?
Yes. Finelli's death puts her in the clear. Fleet's been the whole works. And she can help us get the goods on him.
How?
Come on. We're going to pay her a call, Annie. And on the way, we'll pick up that wise guy, Logan.
I think you're right, Mr. Casey.
Thanks.
You're more easily sold than I am, Mrs. King. I think he's altogether wrong.
You would, Logan.
Whether he's right or wrong, Captain, I'll take any chance to get the man who may have caused my husband's death. You've been frank with me, Mr. Casey. You think I was in love with Luigi Finelli. I wasn't. If I looked twice at any man, he'd begin to spy on me, question me. With Finelli, I was deliberately trying to pay him off for the unhappiness his jealousy had caused me. Miss Williams, another woman would realize how I felt what I was doing.
Oh, I do realize, Mrs. King.
Now Charlie's gone. If I could only bring him back, he could be jealous. He could beat me anything.
We're very sorry, Mrs. King.
I won't cry anymore. What do you want me to do, Mr. Casey?
Well, first, I want you to give Dillinger some of the same harmless dope we think was fed to Nimbu. So Fleet will think that he's sick and we'll have to stay with him tonight.
I don't get it, Casey.
No, neither do I.
Well, there's more than one way to trip up a murder. Now, tonight, Mrs. King, you will go to the animal room and talk with Fleet. Logan and I will be hidden behind the cages. Now, here's what I want you to say. There she comes, Logan.
Yeah, I see her.
So does Fleet.
What are you doing here so late, Mrs. King?
I've come to talk to you, Joe.
About Dillinger? Well, if you're worried about that orangutan, I'm taking good care of him.
I'm sure you are. You figure he and all my other orangs belong to you now, and you've become king of the apes.
That's right. You can't work them in the ring.
I imagine you expect an increase in pay.
I wasn't going to rush you on this, Mrs. King, but since you bring the matter up, suppose we make it from now on. I take all the money from the act and pay you 10% of the net.
You want 90%, huh?
Well, is that not fair enough for an indispensable man?
Joe, you're going to work for me in your new job for less money.
Are you crazy?
You see, if you don't accept my terms, I'm going to tell the police some things I know.
What do you mean?
I know who really killed Finelli and my husband.
How you know that, Mrs. King?
I was here last night when Finelli was killed. I saw something.
If you was here last night and saw something, why didn't you tell the cops?
I got a better idea. I'm a businesswoman, Joe. It occurred to me that you'd work very cheap in order to escape the electric chair.
Mrs. King, you did a very foolish thing in coming here tonight.
Why?
The police will think you was worried about poor sick Dillinger. You was foolish enough to enter his cage while I was out of the room.
What are you talking about?
I'm putting you in his cage. Dillinger will do the rest, as he did for your husband.
Let me go.
Oh, no. As I kill your husband, as I kill Finelli, now I kill you.
Let go, Logan. Pick him up, please.
Oh, crap.
Pick him up and let go of that woman.
Oh, so this was all a trick.
Let go of Mrs. King, I say.
I washed you up, Joe.
No, Cops. To get me, you got to shoot through this woman. And I got the gun, too.
Captain Logan, he's holding
You can't get out of here, Fleet.
Look, I got my gun at this woman's back. If I do not go free, she dies.
You'll kill me, Captain.
Got us, Logan.
All of you, bent over by the wall. All right. Now, Mrs. King, we go.
You'll never get away with this.
I take my chances on that. Now walk in front of me, off these cages, and slow, Mrs. King.
I will.
Oh!
Big Ape's got him by the throat. Got too close to that cage. Come on, help me pull him away from that orang, Casey. All right.
Wait, he's dropped him. Look, his neck is broken. He's dead.
Nimble, he saved my life.
Take it easy, Mrs. King. You're safe now. I guess Annie was right. I guess there is poetic justice.
Back to Casey in just a moment. But first, here is a message from Anchor Hocking. I hope that every one of our listeners will make a special point to tune in Crime Photographer next Thursday evening. We're going to have an unusually exciting show, and the Anchor Hocking Glass Corporation will have an announcement to make of the utmost importance. And now, tonight, we're celebrating National Baby Week. And in the interest of better health, retail stores and food packers throughout America are focusing attention on the scientifically prepared glass-packed baby foods which make it so easy to provide a properly balanced and healthful diet. Now, these glass-packed baby foods simplify the young mother's work enormously. You can heat and serve baby food in the same glass container in which you buy it and reseal it safely to store leftover portions. Glass containers are easy and safe to open, and they have no effect on taste, flavor, or purity. All better brands of prepared baby foods come to you packed in glass, in Anchor glass containers protected by Anchor vacuum caps. Both products of Anchor Hocking. The most famous name in glass.
I suppose they've let that little guy Tyan out of jail now, huh, Miss Williams?
Yes, Ethelbert, after Captain Logan gave him a long talk about the electric chair he'd been so close to.
Yeah, it made such an impression on Tyan that he took the pledge never to drink again. And he'll be back in the act as King of the Apes tonight.
And Casey and I are going to the circus again tonight to watch him work with Nimble.
Hey, as a matter of fact, the performance will start in half an hour, Annie. We'd better get over there. Huh?
The ape act don't go on till late, does it?
Almost at the end of the show, Ethelbert.
But you're going to see the whole show again?
That's Casey's idea.
Well, there's a lady acrobat I want to look at again, Anne. She has such beautiful eyes.
Crime Photographer, starring Stott Cotsworth as Casey, is brought to you each Thursday by the Anchor Hocking Glass Corporation, makers of Fire King oven glass, Anchor glass containers, Anchor caps and closures. All products of Anchor Hocking, the most famous name in glass. Crime Photographer is directed by John Deep. The original music is by Archie Blyer, and the program features Miss Jan Miner as Anne and John Gibson as Ethelbert. Herman Chittison is the Blue Note pianist. Thursday night on CBS is the biggest show in town, so stay tuned for exciting dramatizations on Reader's Digest Radio Edition, which follows immediately over most of these stations. This is Tony Marvin saying goodnight for the Anchor Hocking Glass Corporation of Lancaster, Ohio, with offices in all principal cities of the United States and Canada. This is CBS, the Columbia Broadcasting System.
This, I believe. Dwight Taylor is one of Hollywood's leading screenwriters. His mother, Laurette Taylor, was a famous actress, and both his father and stepfather authored popular plays. He grew up in an atmosphere where his talents were quickly recognized and encouraged. From drawing and writing books and short stories, he went to plays and movies, and has worked for Hollywood ever since. This is Dwight Taylor's creed.
I believe in God and in His commandments. I believe in love thy neighbor, and doing to others as you would have them do unto you. But I also believe that due to the frailty of human nature, this approach to life cannot be maintained without a hard core of religious belief and practice to make it work. In listening to these broadcasts, I have been impressed by the similarity, not the divergence, of the opinions expressed. Most men seem to agree that the virtues we should seek to obtain are faith, brotherly love, and courage. If agreement as to what is needed could solve our problems, we would have universal peace tomorrow. It is how these virtues are to be cultivated which always proves to be the stumbling block. And I am convinced that it always will be, until man acknowledges a supreme being and the necessity of prayer. Men without God are like children without a parent. Each one claims to be his own authority, and the nursery is soon in a shambles. We are inclined to be so impressed with our accomplishments in the fields of science that many of us have come to look upon this world as some kind of gigantic mechanical toy that works on a series of set principles, which, once discovered and controlled, will lead us to happiness and salvation. But science is chiefly concerned with what things do under various circumstances, and to a certain extent, how they do them. It is no nearer to the mystery of why than at the dawn of civilization. Yet why is the first question a child asks. When I was a young man, I read of an old lady in Scotland who had succeeded in levitating tables in broad daylight, under strict test conditions, before a group of hard-headed scientists from the University of Edinburgh. I was so impressed with this report that I rushed to a distinguished physicist friend of mine and suggested that he take the next boat for Scotland. If this is true, I said, we will have to alter our entire habits of thinking. It is a clear example of the triumph of mind over matter. But Dwight, he said, I'm still trying to figure out why a table stays on the ground. That was a turning point in my entire thinking. Like most of us, I was inclined to overlook the daily miracle of living. Living is so natural to us that we seldom subject it to the inquiry which it deserves. I would suggest to anybody who is vague in his mind about God and what he actually does believe, to try the experiment of getting up tomorrow morning and facing the day with a determination not to take that day as a matter of course, to try to detach himself from his regular habits long enough to begin to wonder what makes him tick. Not that he will get anywhere, any more than science has gotten anywhere in this regard, but it may help to indicate to him how little we actually know about our existence, how humble we should be in the face of our ignorance, and how grateful for the gift of life. Not until that feeling of gratitude is well felt and seeks to express itself to the giver of life himself will we learn to function properly one with another. I think this is the whole purpose of living, and I believe this is what is meant by the words of the Lord's Prayer, Thy kingdom come, Thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven.
They're the beliefs of Dwight Taylor of Hollywood, California, who writes for the stage and screen.
Crime does not pay.
What do you clock 'em, Don?
Check with your watch, Frankie.
Well, that's not bad. Not bad for a sleeper.
I'd call it pretty fair. Pretty fair.
Speed boy's better.
Sure?
I clocked in myself yesterday morning.
How'd you get into the track?
I didn't. Slipped the janitor a fin, watched from the roof of the clubhouse. What we own is a second-place sure shot.
It's too bad. We could clean up
if we are going to clean up on every bookie in the country.
On this horse? A placer?
Why not? Just leave it to Frankie. I'll take care of Speed Boy and take all the suckers to the cleaners in the same operation.
In the interest of good citizenship and law enforcement, we present Crime Does Not Pay, based on the famous Metro-Goldwyn-Mayer series of short subjects. In just a moment, you will hear Giddyup Horsey, starring Richard Webb. Now, Crime Does Not Pay, starring Richard Webb as Frankie Paston in Giddyup Horsey. They call it the sport of kings, and it is. There's a real thrill in watching the thoroughbreds thunder into the home stretch, hooves flying, necks outstretched, the bright bits of color in the jockey's silks flashing in the sunlight. Yes, that part of it is real sport. But the opposite side of the coin is far from that attractive. That side is peopled by men like Frankie Paston and his trusted lieutenant, Don Spelvin. They've made themselves part of racing, and their operations cast a dark shadow across many a sunlit racetrack. You'll find them in the crowd in the grandstand, as excited in their way as Frankie and Don were the day they watched their choice front runner come pounding into the stretch.
All right, Don, we're going to be okay.
Yeah, I don't need field glasses. I can see him. He's running third.
Well, you can't see Jackson Fourth foaming at the bit.
What?
Jocko took good care of him.
Needle?
Not a chance. In the feed bag. The cinch. Here they come. Our nag's making his bid. Now that Jackson's fading fast.
Oh, brother, at 8-1. Not bad at all.
Well, Donnie boy, shall we collect our swag?
Why not? I could name a few characters who aren't very fond of you. 8-1. Yippee!
And a few at 10-1. I put 1,000 or so down before the odds dropped.
Not bad at all. Too bad they dropped.
Well, the suckers put their money in the machines on our nag. They think they were lucky. A long shot. Well, that's what makes horse racing a good business.
What do you mean, the old gag, difference of opinion?
Not with me. That makes racing a gamble. I said business. And business means a sure thing. Even long shots are business when they're mine. Check?
Check. Well, the owner of the winner. Coming down to the circle, Paston?
Well, how are you, Mr. Martin? I haven't seen you in some time.
I've been busy, keeping racing honest. So men like you can run your horses with peace of mind.
And my thanks for that.
You're welcome. Nice to have a long odds winner, isn't it?
Well, prize money's the same, and I don't bet.
Well, then you are different. Well, congratulations again. I'll see you around, Paston.
You can bet on that, Martin.
Hey, boss, I don't get it. You sound like a mealy-mouthed...
Donnie boy, Dave Martin is the racing commissioner. Enough said?
Check. Sorry, boss. Should have known.
As long as Martin thinks I'm clean, I operate. Let's go.
Yeah, but where? The payoff windows are the other way.
You forgot. We've got a winner. Winner's circle next stop, Donnie. We've got to collect our little blanket of roses. Easy, boy, easy.
Fair to go, Mr. Paston.
Yeah, I know, and it's so early in the morning. And it's a horse's life, Jocko, a horse's life.
He don't seem to mind.
Eric's a smart Gigi, always willing to earn his oats. Well, all set, Jocko?
Yes, sir.
All right, let him out, but not all the way.
Well, I saw in the stables this morning.
Maybe, maybe not. I use taking chances. We'll clock him, then chop off whatever you think we can do it. Go ahead.
Get a boss. Come on, let's ride it.
Got your watch, Don?
Mm-hmm, right here.
Good. Here we go. Mist ought to help keep us under wraps.
He's at the post.
You click your watch when Jocko lets him run. Now.
Yeah. He runs pretty.
Yeah, that nag cost me plenty.
I thought you picked him up in a claiming race.
I did. It's not the original cost, it's the upkeep.
Just like with a woman, huh?
Women don't run like that.
I saw this in a movie once. Empty track, couple of guys timing their horse. You know, win the race, save the old homestead.
Yeah, like us. win the race, build a new homestead.
Yeah. How about that character, Martin?
He won't get wise if we have a horse on the money.
You figure all the angles, huh?
And how? You can't get away with it. If you run an ag that follows everything else home. But if you've got a horse that looks legit, catch on?
Catch. He's making the turn.
Yeah, Jocko rides him nice. What do you clock him, Don?
Check with your watch.
It's not bad. Not bad for a sleeper.
They call it pretty fair. Pretty fair.
Well, the speed boy's better.
Sure?
Sure, I clocked him myself yesterday morning.
How'd you get into the track?
I didn't. Slipped the janitor a fin and watched from the roof of the clubhouse. What we own is a second-place sure shot.
It's too bad. We could clean up
If we are going to clean up on every bookie in the country.
On this horse, a placer?
Why not? Leave it to Frankie. I'll take care of Speed Boy and take all the suckers to the cleaners in the same operation. And that, Donnie boy, is that. Eric Second is now officially entered in the sixth race. Unofficially, he's got it in a bag.
Thanks, boss. The commissioner.
Oh, thanks, Donnie. Well, Mr. Martin, how are you?
Pretty good, Paston. I haven't seen you since last time you had a winner.
Oh, I've been around. How about you?
Busy.
Trouble?
A little. Not for publication, though.
Oh, is that so?
Yes. As a matter of fact, that race you won is under investigation.
Oh, that's news. Why?
Well, they've suspended Jackson Fourth's jockey. The owner noticed foam in the horse's muzzle. Had it analyzed.
Drugs? I thought the needle was old-fashioned.
There's no sign of a needle. It was in either the feed or the water bucket. But we're keeping this very quiet until we have more information.
And meantime, the jockey doesn't work anymore.
I'm afraid not.
That's too bad. You sure it was him?
We're not sure of anything, Preston, but we can't afford to take chances. We want racing to stay clean in this state.
I'll go along with that. Well, anything I can do. Want to question my boy Jocko, Commissioner?
Jocko Barry? No, that's not necessary. The movies show he rode a perfectly honest race.
Well, anything, anytime, Commissioner.
Thank you, Preston. I'll remember that. Good luck with Eric Second.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Anything, anytime, Commissioner. Oh, boss, butter wouldn't melt in your mouth.
You think I ought to tell him, Donnie?
Tell him what?
That it wasn't the jockey's fault. That it wasn't in the water bucket.
You nuts?
We want racing to stay clean in this state. Well, racing's gonna be cleaned, all right, Donnie boy. But not the way Dave Martin wants it. Not that way at all.
Jocko's here, boss. He's got the info.
Bring him in.
Check. Okay, Jocko. Hi, Mr. Paston.
Hiya, Jocko. What have you got?
Name of the boy will be up on Speed Boy.
Give.
Arno. Jackie Arno.
How much?
As far as I can find out, Jackie won't play.
Anybody plays for enough dough?
But this kid, his father rode, too, and his grandpa owned horses. He loves the racket.
Anybody ever try him?
Remember Les Hemming, Mr. Paston?
Yeah, took a rep of bookmaking, horse fixing?
That's the one.
So?
So Hemming tried to get to Arno. Jackie not only wouldn't play, he turned him into the commission.
Well, looks like we've got a small problem. Jocko, what does our friend Jackie do for amusement when he isn't playing stoolie for the commission?
Not very much. Nobody seems to know.
Got a girlfriend?
Not so far as we know.
Well, what does he do around the stables? Who are his friends?
The horses, period.
Oh, not even the galloping dominoes once in a while?
Oh, that's sure we all do.
Now, look, Jocko. You know the commission's rules against gambling, especially for jockeys. The boys might get into debt to the wrong people.
Well, how much can you lose in a penny game?
Well, maybe the stakes could go higher.
With Jackie?
He might go along, if the other fellas did.
How much do I take him for?
That doesn't matter. Just get him playing. That's your part of the job.
Easy enough.
Sonny and I'll take care of the rest. From what you told me, Jocko, our young friend wants to keep riding.
Yeah, he sure does.
Yeah, but if the commission finds out he's been gambling, see what I mean?
Yeah, I think so. He might do us a little favor, huh?
Yeah, like pulling Speed Boy. Yes, Jocko, exactly. You see, in that case, he'd keep riding. If not, well, we'd be barred from the track. Commissioner Martin takes my word for a lot of things, and meantime, I take the suckers for a lot of dough. Simple, isn't it? You know, boys, I think we're going to make a killing. I really think this one is going to be the big one. But only time will tell.
In just a moment, Crime Does Not Pay will continue with Giddyup Horsey. Now we continue with Crime Does Not Pay, starring Richard Webb as Frankie Paston in Giddyup Horsey. The date of the important race drew near. Eric Second continued to improve his form. So did Speed Boy. The odds remained very much the same. Meanwhile, Frankie Paston went ahead with his plans. Jocko Berry set the trap for the little Jackie Arno, and that young man found himself caught badly.
I know what you're thinking, Jocko.
And so, Jackie, my boy?
Yeah. You're thinking a fellow who hasn't got the dough shouldn't get mixed up in dollar stakes.
500 smackers is a lot of dough.
Well, I'll get it for you.
You said that before.
I mean it.
Look, kid, I don't think I'll wait very long. Let's make it the day after tomorrow.
What? Day after tomorrow?
Right. Day after tomorrow. You meet me in the last stall in the fourth stable down at the track. Now, you get me?
What for?
Look, what do I have to do? Spell it out for you?
Well, I won't have the dough by then.
Be there, see? Maybe I'll figure out some way to let you work off the dough. Get it? Work it off. That's you, Jackie?
Yeah, it's me.
Oh, you decided to come, huh?
Did I have any choice?
Oh, I'm glad to see it that way, kid. Smart.
No, not smart. Just plain dumb. I shouldn't have got mixed up in that game to start with. I shouldn't have played when the stakes got so high. I shouldn't have let you loan me more dough when I got cleaned. Oh, what's the use? What do you want?
Oh, just a small favor.
Well, I won't have any dough to pay you till after Speedboy wins a week from Saturday.
Oh, Jackie, how'd you like to pay off without dough?
Without dough? How?
Just a favor.
Go on. Talk.
Look, a week from Saturday, that last turn, see? Just before the stretch. You make a small mistake, say?
What kind of a mistake?
Oh, say, pull wide on a turn so I could take the rail with Eric Second.
What? Throw the race?
You never know, except maybe you and me.
You know they take movies of the whole race, and the stewards watch with the glasses.
Oh, you'd make a mistake, that's all. You ahead what you owe me, and maybe 1,000 or so more.
Excuse me, I gotta go now.
Are you kidding?
I just remembered a date I got.
Look, I could have a date, too, with Commissioner Martin.
Martin?
You gambled, didn't you? You lost a lot of dough, didn't you? He'll buy you for life.
Oh, Jocko, you wouldn't do that.
No. Not if you pull wide a week from Saturday.
I never threw a race in my life. My father never did. I got a date, all right, with the commissioner. I'll tell him I gambled, and I'll tell him how it happened and what you just asked me to do.
Got a big mouth, haven't you, kid?
What?
For a little guy, he sure has.
Who are you? Hey, let me out of here.
Not so fast, Jackie boy. Introduce us, Jocko.
Jackie Arno, Frankie Paston, and Don Spelman.
Frankie Paston?
Gonna do Jocko his little favor, kid?
No. Nobody can make me.
Think so, kid?
I'll die first.
Maybe he'll do just that. Think so, Don?
It could be.
You leave me alone.
With your big mouth, are you silly?
Keep away. Don't you touch me, don't you?
Let him have it, Don.
With the shift, boss?
No, with your fists, and maybe Jocko would like to get in the liquor, too. With that 2x4. I specialize in footwork myself.
No, please, no.
Get up. You heard Jocko. Shut up.
Big mouth, don't...
Okay, he's well done. Gee, looks sort of rare to me. What a mess. Drag him out of here, boss?
Not on your life, Jocko. The nag next door.
The wild one?
That's the one. Put him in the stall. The perfect alibi. Young jockey kicked to death by unruly horse. Hey, you want to see me, Commissioner?
Oh, yes, Paston. Come in. Close the door. Paston, this is Lieutenant McCullough. Mr. Frank Paston.
How do you do, Lieutenant?
How are you? Sit down, Paston.
Thanks.
The lieutenant is in command of the gambling squad.
That's so. Well, it must be interesting work.
It is, at times. Especially when homicide is involved.
Homicide? Somebody dead?
A jockey.
That's so. Oh, that's too bad. Which one?
Jackie Arno. I know his father.
And that's why Mac is handling this himself, not the homicide detail. Special permission.
I see. That's too bad. Jackie was a nice kid.
Yes, I know. And he loves Speed Boy.
I understand the owner is putting Kid Johnson up on Speed Boy for Saturday.
That's another good jockey. How was Arnold killed?
His body was found in a stall. Looked as if the horse had kicked him to death.
Yeah, but you think it was deliberate?
We know it. The horse belonged to the next stall. It obviously had been moved after the killing. And there wasn't one mark of a horse's hoof on the body. Very sloppy killing. Certainly a sloppy attempt to cover it.
Yeah, well, it sounds pretty bad. Think anybody tried to get to Arno, Dave?
Almost undoubtedly. Any ideas, Paston?
Nope, not an idea in the world. Anybody who knew Jackie knew that he couldn't be reached.
Anybody around this track you know of who maybe didn't know him? That well, at any rate?
Well, everybody knew him. He was a nice kid, as I said before.
Yes, he was. Nothing you can tell us, Mr. Preston?
Yeah, I'm sorry, Lieutenant. But if I think of anything, or I can be of any help at all,
Yes. Well, thanks, Preston. If racing is going to be kept clean, we need everyone's cooperation.
You can count on me, Commissioner. Anytime. All right, Don, Jocko, the heat's on.
Cops?
And the Commissioner. They know Arno wasn't killed by any horse.
Hey, that's bad.
Well, it's not good. All they need is someone who'll square we were around that stall.
I don't like this. I don't like it at all.
Shut up and listen. This is the layout. It's 4 days till Saturday. Now, time's a-wasting. The odds on Eric have got to go sky high. We're going to make this last one a big one. Then we're going to get out.
Well, what's the orders, boss?
We've got to get Kid Johnson first.
The kid riding Speed Boy?
Right.
What if he don't play?
He's got to. Well, we're done.
We ain't going to kill him, too. Shut up and listen, will you? Okay, I heard you.
Jocko, you know where Johnson hangs out?
Sure, he's been around a long time. You find him in a juke joint over in Palmetto Street.
I don't find him. You do.
Look, I don't want no more part of this. You heard the boss, Jocko. Okay, I heard. What do you want me to say to him? That's a cinch, kid. Just go wide on the last turn. Eric's second and me, we'll do the rest.
Where do I come in, Jocko?
And you play. I'm not in this racket because I love horses. My boss says you can have 2 G's after the race.
4.
What?
4 G's.
Well, take 3, huh? That's my limit.
Okay. $3,000. Right after the race. It's a deal.
It's a deal. What are you going to do, boss?
I'm going to dump $20,000 in the pair of mutuals. All on Speed Boy. That ought to run the odds on Eric up to about 20 to 1.
You're going to lose $20,000 on Speed Boy, boss?
Who cares? And I'll take the bookies for $500,000.
Yeah? Ready with Detroit, boss.
Check. Hello, Chuck. Look, will you take me for $5,000 on Eric the 2nd and the 6th tomorrow? Sure, I want track odds. Okay, so I'm crazy. Maybe not.
Now, hold it a second, will you?
Right. So long.
Here's Frisco, boss.
Thanks. Hello, Beanie. Look, kid, I want you to put on about $5,000 for me on Eric's 2nd and the 6th tomorrow. Spread it around. That's Suppose nobody will be wise, see? Give me the track odds. Sure, I know something. And Beanie, half a G of that is yours at 20 to 1.
You're having trouble at the gate with Speed Boy?
Yeah, the Johnson's giving a good performance.
Oh, now they got him back in.
They'll go in a minute.
They're off.
Well, stop sounding like a sucker, Donny boy.
Speed Boy's got the rail.
That's according to plan.
Good boy in the saddle, that Jocko.
Why do you suppose he works for me?
Yeah, hey, ain't he holding back a little too much?
He's not in the pocket. I told him to move up at the end of the backstretch. There he goes.
Yeah, that Speed Boy can run.
Yeah, so can that Eric.
Hey, something's busting out over there.
Well, there's nothing wrong. Johnson's holding his head. Jocko's just a half a length.
No, back for the boss, number 8. Driving out of the track.
Black Pirate? There's nothing to worry about.
He's crowding Eric already.
Yeah, that kind of a horse always drives in the backstretch and then fades out on the turn. Watch him now.
Yeah, but is he fading or is Jocko moving ahead?
Same difference, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a 2-horse race now. You sure got him all figured, boss.
Yeah, maybe that's why you call me boss.
Now they're making a turn.
Yeah, watch that Speed Boy. Here he goes. Wide. There comes Eric. He's coming through.
No, but he ain't swinging, boss. He ain't.
Pull out. Pull out. Get outside of there.
Careful, boss. Careful.
That dirty little double. I'll hit him fine forever.
I don't believe it. Wait till I get my hands on that junk.
Beg your pardon? Did you say something, Mr. Spelvin?
What?
Hello, Commissioner. Good race. Can't win all the time, can I?
No, you can't, Paston. That's a fact. I think Mac here agrees with you.
No, you can't, Paston. Especially when you play with murder.
What do you mean, murder? What is this, a frame-up? Look here, Commissioner.
I wouldn't make a scene or try anything, Paston. Or you either, Spelvin. My men have been around you in the crowd since you came to the track today.
Let me out of here. I didn't do nothing. I didn't...
Quiet, you. I'd appreciate the chance to let you have it, both of you. You're under arrest. You better come quietly.
What's the charge, Lieutenant? And it better be good. False arrest carries heavy damages.
Stop it, Paston. We have you cold.
As it happens, Kid Johnson's been working with me for some time. He was put up on Speed Boy at my suggestion. And your Jocko has cocked his head off. He may be mean, but he couldn't take that killing. Now, will you come quietly, or do we have to carry you out?
Fine does not pay. Richard Webb, who was starred as Frankie Paston in Giddyup Horsey, will be back with you in just a moment. Now, here in person is Richard Webb.
Well, the story that we've just played for you, with all its ramifications of gambling, crookedness, and the kind of violence that goes hand in hand with men like Frankie Paston, well, this is typical of many events in the past. I think it's important to point out that Frankie and his gang based their operations on the suckers, the people who persist in making their bets not through the legal pari-mutuel machines, but through illegal bookmakers, all of whom pay their tribute to organized crime. Now, men like Frankie find it easy pickings among such people, of whom there are more than many of us would like to admit. But from these facts, there is but one conclusion to be drawn, that illegal bettors actually compound crime. Yes, of course, they lose, always. For them, as well as for all the Frankies, in the end, crime does not pay.
Thank you, Mr. Webb. Crime Does Not Pay is written by Ira Marion and directed by Marks B. Loeb, with music composed and conducted by John Garth. Technical advisor is Burton D. Turtis. The events, characters, and names used in the story you've just heard are fictitious. Any similarity is purely coincidental.
This I believe. E. Merrill Root is a poet. As the author of 6 volumes of verse and an editor of The Measure, he has had a large share in the shaping of modern American poetry. The richness of his imagery and his sensitiveness to the reader have won him wide critical acclaim. He lives in Richmond, Indiana. This is Merrill Root's creed.
A symbol of what I believe today came to me years ago when I was too young to understand it fully. With the pessimism of youth, I thought that I doubted life, and I sank into a dark center of despair. I was crossing the Atlantic on a night of war, on a ship that was always the possible target of a torpedo. So every door and window was double draped, lest light should summon death, while on deck every flare of a match or every flame bud of a cigarette was forbidden. A ship of darkness, we plunged through the dangerous dark. And very young, very frightened, I walked the deck alone, my mind as dark as my world. Yet as I stared down at the warm ocean, I saw it smitten by the plunging ship into a delicate phosphorescence of splendor. Some aquatic life along our path turned the darkness to a road of gleaming light. And gazing at our pathway paved with miniature misty moons, I transcended my fear, my danger, my despair. I knew suddenly that even in our darkest hours, life is invaded by a flying splendor. As the years advance, bringing me ever richer life and ever greater joy, I have still more clearly known this perpetual invasion by a secret glory. A flying splendor surrounds, pervades, and disturbs me like a miracle, a someone before whose secret presence our scanty realism merely caricatures reality, our timid naturalism merely libels nature. I move into every hour with a sense of a secret presence that speaks in revelation. I must be alive to every intimation, humble, sensitive, childlike, a lute suspended in the wind, a Maytime tree answering the sun with responsive bloom. For this flying splendor forever reaches out to make me incredulous of my incredulity, to flood my poverty of faith with wealth of fulfillment. Suddenly in leafless November woods, I see the black alders, unseen all summer, glow with berries like fierce flames. I allow my days to be mean, to be dull, and yet I see with wonder that each is still framed by the awful rose of dawn or dusk. I hear it said that the world ends with a whimper, and then I read of a GI throwing his body on a bursting grenade that his buddies may live. Thus I find ever the invasion of a glory. These flying gleams, I know, come from the horizon. They stream from areas vaster than any we yet know. They are too transcendent for one life to grasp, too great for one world to hold. So I feel myself the pilgrim of heaven, the adventurer into a dawn that is forever. Death is only a door of pain into the world whence the flying splendor enters this. Thus grief intensifies the glory. Thus tragedy is man's highest hour of triumph. For the grief, like the glory, leads the blossom from the root and carries the origin into the goal. I follow the flying glory like a slender golden thread. It never breaks, and it leads me at last to God.
That was Quaker poet E. Merrill Root. He is poetry editor of The American Friend.
Calling all detectives. Shadowing people is one of the hardest jobs a detective ever gets. And I once had a case where the shadower was shadowed. That is the situation on this page from my casebook. The casebook of Jerry Browning, private detective. Some people have the idea that a private detective like me, Jerry Browning, makes a lot of easy money. Believe me, they don't know the half of it. When Cobina Starrett walked into the hat store on Lake Boulevard, I had to hang around outside without creating the impression that I was A, a detective, B, a masher, C, a pickpocket. About half an hour later...
I've been watching you. You're making drawings of our latest imports.
I mumbled something to the store manager about waiting for my wife. He showed me what he thought of that by beckoning to the cop who was directing traffic at the corner. I fled as the cop started toward us. I hurried past the hat store in time to see Cobina Starrett leaving by a rear door. But as I ran around the block...
All right, now. I've got you. Leave off struggling before I give you a taste of the billy.
It was the cop who'd run the other way to meet me. Officer, I'm Jerry Browning, private detective. What's the use? The cop let go of me, but held his club ready.
What's that you said?
Never mind. My subject just drove off in that cab. A woman I was shadowing got away from me when a cop mistook me for a loiterer. I took a cab to the office of my client, Wadsworth Henley. Acting on Henley's orders, I'd been following Cobina Starrett for 10 days, during which time she'd done nothing more exciting than shop at a few dozen stores and spend long hours at her beauty parlor. Henley sat at his desk and gnawed his knuckles while I delivered my rehearsed story. So it's my conclusion, Mr. Henley, that your suspicions of Miss Starrett are completely unfounded. Henley got up from his desk and walked over to me. Browning, I'll tell you what I think of your report. Henley stood over me. Browning, I had a phone call from Cobina Starrett a few minutes ago. She has just married her hairdresser. She said nothing about returning her engagement ring. I got up slowly. I'm sorry, Mr. Henley. I guess you had a right to lose your temper. Henley frowned. No, I didn't. You tried your best. Browning, I'm well out of it. And I now realize that the one I really love is Peggy McConnell. I edged toward the door. That's fine, Mr. Henley. I hope you'll be very happy. Henley grabbed my arm. I won't make the same mistake twice, Browning. Before Peggy gets an engagement ring from me, you make sure that she loves me. Yeah? And how do you suggest I go about finding that out? You're a detective. Don't bother me with trifles. Now get going. That evening, I went down to the Lido Club, where Peggy McConnell was a featured singer. After her act, I watched Peggy circulate from table to table and made a mental note to report to Henley that she was very popular. About 11 o'clock, Henley came in for a while, got a tiny share of Peggy's attention. I hung around until after the last show, then went outside and took up a position near the stage entrance. After I'd been there about an hour, a car drove up to the stage entrance just as Peggy McConnell emerged from the club. After she got into the car, I signaled a taxi. I ran over to the cab, but as I had my hand on the doorknob...
Well, if it ain't the private detective. And who are you shadowing this time?
Look, I'm on a different case. Let go of my arm.
Sure, and I'm only trying to be helpful.
Never mind. This one got away, too. In the light of my afternoon's experience, I didn't dare report to Henley that Peggy McConnell had eluded me. Instead, I went to her home the next morning, waited outside it until she emerged. Why is it that the average woman on a shopping tour will cover approximately 18 miles in the course of any average day? That's what Peggy McConnell did. I thought it was going to be another wasted day, until... The door through which Peggy McConnell passed was at City Hall, and it was labeled Marriage License Bureau. At last, I had something to report to Henley, except that I couldn't reach him on the phone either at his office or at home. By that time, Peggy had come out of the bureau, and I had to pick up a trail which led me to the Lido Club again. All during the evening, I tried to call Henley, and never did succeed in reaching him. When it became obvious that I couldn't connect with him, I decided that the least I could do for the money I was being paid was follow Peggy and let Henley be the first to know whom she was marrying. But at the stage door...
You know something? I've been thinking. And what I've been thinking is that you're a peeping Tom and no detective at all.
Look, officer, I'm a licensed private detective. I'll show you my license. I'll do anything if you'll only go away.
I've met your kind before. You have a pocket full of fake papers and a face butter wouldn't melt on. And what I'm thinking is, you're too guileful for a simple man like me. So come on down and tell it to the sergeant.
I watched dully as Peggy McConnell got into the car and drove away. Then I turned to the cop. Don't you ever get a day off? It took me about 5 minutes to identify myself at headquarters, but by then it didn't matter. The next day I went to see Henley. I had another story rehearsed this time. Mr. Henley, you were never in love with Peggy McConnell either. And it's a good thing you didn't give her an engagement ring because she's just a flirt and a heartbreaker. Browning, you're talking about my wife. I got up slowly. Didn't even try to duck in case he wanted to hit me again. But when the door opened and my nemesis, the cop, walked in, I finally understood everything.
You're a good detective, Browning. But you don't have to follow me daughter Peggy around. That's why she's got her old father to look after her. Eh, son-in-law?
Well, I got my $40 a day for every day I worked. But I know plenty of pugs who take a lot fewer wallops in the teeth for a lot more money than I ever make. Like I said, I won't deny that there are lots harder ways of making a living than my way. But I'm sure there must be lots that are easier. Listen next time to Calling All Detectives. Mystery drama, mystery quiz, and a chance for you to match wits with yours truly, Jerry Browning, Private Detective.
Murder at midnight.
I said, put that gun away, Joe. Stop him, Freddie.
He can't hear you, Smalley. He's busy singing. I can play it in his sleep.
Hey, Baker.
He can't hear you neither. We rocked him off long ago.
Joe, listen, don't do it, please. I've got to take a gun any way you say it, but don't push the switch on me. Don't.
Midnight, the witching hour when the night is darkened. Our fears less strong, our strength at its lowest ebb. Midnight, when the grave gape open and death strikes. How? You'll learn the answer in just a minute in Red Wheels. And now, Murder at Midnight. Tales of mystery and terror by radio's masters of the macabre. Our story by Jack Gordon is Red Wheels. The desert, flat and empty under a heavy night sky. Speeding along its only road is a large bus. Lulled by the hum of the tires, smooth motion, the passengers sleep. All of them, except one.
Joe, hey, wake up. What? I said, wake up. What? Oh, let me alone, will you? Let me sleep. Hey, Joe, you don't think nothing went wrong? You don't, do you? All right, I'm up. You know, kid, you got a face that talks too much. I want to make sure everything's all right, that's all, Joe. I want to make sure. This makes 3 times tonight. You got to make sure. Starting to get me, see? All right, now, I'll tell you once more. There ain't nobody following us. Okay? But there was. You said so yourself. There was at first. That was a couple of days ago. And it was the newspaper said so, not me. Now, will you put that imagination of yours in mothballs? Nobody's following us. Nobody knows we killed him. And if they did, they'd probably be erecting a monument for us back in Denver this minute. So you just turn your nose against the window and watch the desert. Yeah, but it's pretty sand in the desert. But, Joe... So you turn your nose like I say. Yeah, Joe. You picked your lucky seat. You're in seat 7, ain't you? Yeah, sure, Joe. Well, turn around. Watch the sand in the desert. Yeah, that's right. And you found a penny. That's the sign you're always blabbing about. Sitting in seat 7 and found a penny. Lucky guy, that's you. Yeah, that's me. Yeah, so let me sleep with you. Yeah, that's me, lucky guy. Only I can't rest since that night we gave it to Smalley. Look out of the window, Freddie. Okay. What time is it? It's almost 12. Smalley coming yet? Said he was going to be here at midnight. No, but the cop... What about him? Well, he keeps coming back like he's fishing for something here. He's just making the rounds. Don't you worry about him. I don't like it, Joe. There's a smell about it. Yeah, it stinks to me, too. Those two guys playing us for suckers. Baker and Smalley, a pair of shovel-foot dopes. Doing a little insurance on their own, and they won't cut us in on the take. Okay. Hey, maybe we just ought to go away, Joe. Set up our own system somewhere else. And let them get away with a double cross? You kidding? It's arranged perfect, ain't it? Baker out like a light in the other room from that Mickey. We use his gun, and we're 1,000 miles away when he fries for killing his best friend. Yeah, but, Joe, don't forget me. I'm a jinx, I tell you. It'll backfire. Everything happens to me. Let's let it alone. Just stroke that lucky rabbit's foot you bought today, and I'll do the work. Hey, what's that? What? Smalley. Yeah, all right. Now, just get to that piano and play him a little lullaby. Hey, Joe, the cop's going. Get to the piano, I said. Yeah. Maybe my luck switched because of the rabbit's foot. Hello, Smalley. We've been waiting for you. Is it? It's not so good. We ain't happy.
No?
No. The whole thing grisels me.
That's too bad. Where's Baker?
Do you think we'd sit around like a couple of stumps and let you collect all that protection without a peep?
I think you're getting too tall, Joe.
Only 5'8". That's 4 inches and 40 pounds weaker than you, Smalley. It's the same. Freddie and me. We want our share.
You got what's coming to you.
But you ain't got what's coming to you, Smalley. You see? This got you down to size.
Put that away, Joe.
Now you're 40 pounds, 4 inches. They'll make no difference.
I say put that gun away, Joe. Stop him, Freddie.
Freddie can't hear you, Smalley. He's busy singing. I mean playing you to sleep.
Hey, Baker.
He can't hear you neither. We rocked him off long ago.
Joe, listen, now don't do it. I'll cut the take again. Anyway, you say that. Don't push the switch on me. Don't.
Keep playing, Freddie, like nothing's happened.
I didn't figure on this kind of a cut.
I said keep playing, Freddie. Nothing's happened. I can't. All right, then just keep stroking your rabbit's foot. And it'll be okay. Let's see now. Oh, let's get out of here. It's only half done, kid. Let's plant the gun on Baker before we blow. Okay. There, he's beginning to stir in there. Let's get out. Hey, see, I told you the cop downstairs. Oh, easy, kid, easy. That's perfect. Now they'll catch Baker just as he's getting up. So through the window and let the cops take over from here on out. Okay, kid, out you go. Come on. Stand up, boy. Breaking the door down. You keep stroking that rabbit's foot. You'll wear it out. Hey, the cop got in. So now we got a grandstand seat to watch the go, with Baker right in the middle. Now, Joe, let's beat it while we can. What do we want to look for trouble for? Come on. I gotta see. Here he comes, the lunk. Staggering out of the bedroom. Is he dopey from that stuff we give him? Jerk. You don't even know he's got that gun we planted on him. Please, Joe, I'm dancing around like crazy inside. Let's get out of here before they decide to look this way. This ain't smart, Joe. Okay. I've had my fun. Let's blow. Make it Hollywood, Freddie. There's a lot of money out there. Easy picking. Oh, they'll come after us, Joe. I got a feeling. Don't be a dope. What do they want us for? They got Baker, ain't they? They'll look for us as witnesses. Yeah. They know they're well-read of Smalley. All they want is a goat. And we left him in the stable back there. Yeah, but the papers... Never mind the papers, Sid. Sure, they'd say they want us around. But if we ain't there, we ain't. Yeah. Hey, look, a penny. Pick it up, kid. Yeah, brings good luck, Joe. You see? Now we got nothing to worry about. What time does your next bus leave for L.A., ma'am?
One's leaving in about 5 minutes.
Okay, 2 for L.A.
That's 21.5 out of 25. Here you are. Thank you.
Come on, kid.
Hey, Joe.
Yeah?
You got a penny?
What for?
I want to weigh myself. I'll get a fortune ticket.
What about that penny you picked up?
Oh, no, Joe. That's a good luck penny. I mustn't spend that.
Okay, yeah.
Oh, gee, thanks.
What's the good news, kid?
It says...
Okay, so go on. What does it say?
What it says, you're going to take a long, unexpected trip.
Say, that's pretty good.
That's right, ain't it? Maybe it don't mean that. Maybe it means the cops will get us and...
Finish reading it.
Okay. It says, you are too easily taken in and influenced by those around you.
What are you looking at me for?
Oh, nothing, Joe.
Come on, kid. There's our bus pulling in. Well, there she is. Let's get on, huh?
Joe, let's wait for the next one, Joe.
Are you nuts? A 3-hour wait? What for?
That's got red wheels.
Pretty, ain't it?
So red means danger. Let's take the next bus, huh?
You dope. Stroke your rabbits.
Oh, but Joe, I got a feeling.
Good, so have I. And it says let's get to L.A. double quick and pick up some of that gold dust. Hey, driver.
Yeah?
When do we pull into L.A.?
Day after tomorrow. About this time.
Thanks. Come on, Freddie. The red wheels is on the outside.
Okay.
7 and 8. That's us. Give me a bag. I'll shove it up here.
There we are. Joe. Hey, Joe.
Now what?
Hey, let me sit by the window, will you?
You can't see the wheels anyway.
Yeah, but you...
Oh, I get it. It's the number, huh?
Yeah.
You want the lucky 7. Oh, sure, kid. Sit and see 7 if it'll make you happy. Hey, are you still up?
I wish I could sleep.
Oh, look out the window. The night and the sand. You're not off.
Yeah, okay, Joe. Out the window. The night and the sand. Night, sand. Night, sand. Sand. Sand like a gray smoke screen. Hiding us from the rest of the world. No eyes watching us. We're way away. Red wheels don't mean beans. That's nothing. I'm no pincushion for that lady luck. She's on my side. I add it all up. Rabbit's foot, that's 1. Finding a penny, that's 2. And seat 7, 3. That's 3 against red wheels. 3 against red wheels. What's that? Oh, no. Oh, it can't be. Hey, Joe. Joe, wake up. Oh, he said not to wake him. He said he wanted to sleep. But the bus. Look, it's still moving, Joe. Speeding over the gray clouds of sand, and the driver's seat is empty. The bus is speeding, and there ain't no driver.
A bus with red wheels on a desert road. Where can a bus be going without a driver? Where would you expect to go after murder at midnight? And now, back to Murder at Midnight and Red Wheels. Back with the bus speeding through the desert without a driver.
How could a bus move without a driver? It's crazy. Just close your eyes, Freddie. You're dreaming. Now, when you open your eyes again, you'll see. Now, straight ahead and... See? There it is. Oh, no.
I'm imagining things because I'm scared. Joe.
Hey, what's eating you now?
Look, Joe, look. Coppers? No, wait. It's this bus. It's moving. But what'd you expect?
Now, look, Randy Pond.
Yeah, that's just the point. Look. Straight ahead there.
Look. What the devil?
That's it, the devil. The devil's riding with us. He's holding the wheel. That's why we can't see him. You see, there's no driver.
Holy smokes, I don't get it.
What's making it move? Something we can't see, Joe. Something.
Shut up.
The bus has red wheels, Joe, remember? Red burns like fire. Can take it only one place. That's where we're going. Maybe some of these dopes sleeping can dream a way out. Hey, everybody, wake up! Wake up! What's all the racket?
Darling, don't cry.
What's the big idea?
I'll tell you the big idea. Look straight front and see for yourself.
Holy good diver. What's making it go?
Wait a minute, everybody. Don't get excited.
What do you mean, don't get excited?
If you listen to me, I'll tell you. There wasn't anybody awake.
I'll tell you who's driving this bus. It's the devil. And that means, you know where we're going?
Hey, you're creating a riot, you idiot. Let me talk.
Sure, talk. That's just what we need. This bus is riding us all where we got to do a lot of fast talking. Dead people got to tell why they should be led into heaven or to that other place.
Hey, what's the devil?
The devil, see? We talk about him all the time, the devil. That's the guy we're going to have to see, I know. I know there's no other place for me. It must be the same for all of you.
I get talking with your hat.
We're not dead, so ain't we? We're on a bus. And the bus has got no driver. And the bus has got red wheels. And if you look outside, you can't see a thing but clouds of sand. Nothing, just a bus moving. And if you add up what you did during your lifetime, I'll bet you'll find there was plenty wrong. Hey, you, fat boy. How'd you do it, with an axe, maybe?
I don't pay any attention to him, everyone. If you just listen to me...
And you, lady. Small little dame with a gray hair. What's the devil got against you?
And you. What's laying so heavy on your chest that you won't let me talk?
Yeah.
I'll tell you. I was up when...
You keep jabbering. Nothing to get excited. There's plenty to get excited about. Go ahead, kid. Go on.
No, Freddie. When someone gives you the green light to yap, that means to shut up. We put on a good show, Joe and me. We did it with music. I say button up. No odds now, Joe. I can sing in any key. What's the difference now if he is a cop? We're all going to the same place. Say, shut up. I played Smiley a lullaby. Joe rocked him to sleep with a bullet. Freddie. With a plain everyday gun, no fancy trimming.
You're 2%, idiot.
Am I, Joe? Am I? Maybe I was once, but no more. I'm not going to take what's around waiting for us. You dopes can stick here like pigs in a slaughter pen if you want, but me, I'm finding a way out.
Hey, come back. Hey, stop somebody. Hey, stop it.
That's it. Door open just for me. You chumps can try where you're going, but not me. Stop it. Hey, I made it. I gotta run now. Run. Space. Pack space between me and the devil wings. Wait. Oh, get you tired. Hard run on sand. Get you tired, awful tired. Now that the bus is gone. I'm free of it. I'm alone now.
That's right, mister. You and me. We're all alone.
Sure. Hey, who are you?
I'm Mr. Rat.
Mr.
Yeah, Mr. Desert Rat. I've been here 22 years. Fell off a bus just like you. And been wandering around ever since.
Oh, how? Why don't you get out of here?
Because once you jump off, there ain't no other bus will stop to pick you up. You're all alone.
Hey, Mr. Rat.
Yes, Freddie?
Where you going?
Gotta keep wandering. Keep wandering.
Wandering. The desert. Sand and nothing else for 22 years. Maybe another bus will pick me up. Maybe I shouldn't have jumped. Maybe it might have been better the way it was before I changed it. No, there is something else. A tavern. Come on, Freddie. Pick him up and lay him down. Let's get to those people. Oh, nice town. Got a road. 1, 2, 3. About 5 buildings. Hey, anybody around? Anybody home? Well, there must be. There in that saloon there. Oh, brother, could I use a drink? A beer, yeah, that's for me. Hey, what happened, everybody? What? Hey, no, stop that. Not that song. That's what I was playing when... Stop it. Do you hear? Where are you? Through this door, maybe another room. Stop it, I said. Stop it. Oh, no. Oh, no, not again. A bus without a driver. A piano without anybody playing it. Just the keys moving by themselves. I gotta get out of here. I gotta get out of here. Hey, somebody. Ain't nobody here. Ain't there nobody? There it is again. They're coming from that house. That last one on the road. Maybe this time. All right. I told you to stop it, didn't I? Still nobody. Still. Okay, if you won't stop it, I'll stop it for you. You got it. You hear? You got it. Leave him again.
Hello, Freddie.
You? Oh, can't be you. You're dead.
And what did you expect to find in a ghost town?
But you can't be.
Don't seem to like the music either. That sounded pretty good to you a couple of days ago. Got a drink, Freddie?
What kind of drink?
A Mickey? Like you and Joe gave Baker before you knocked me off? You shouldn't have done it, Freddie.
I didn't have nothing to do with it, Smiley, honest. It was Joe.
Have a drink, Freddie. You must be awful thirsty.
Nah.
I know I'm thirsty with that slug in my gut.
Now keep away from me, Smiley.
So why not let's have one together? A nice double Mickey.
I said keep clear of me.
You're scared, Freddie, aren't you? You're afraid of the dark and the desert and being here alone with me in a ghost town.
Joe?
When Joe isn't around, you get scared, kid, don't you? Too bad Joe isn't here to give you a little gumption. Fight me, Freddie. Get me, Freddie, or I'll get you first.
No, honest, Smiley, honest. I ain't got nothing against you. We gotta stick together here. It's dark.
And don't play with rats. I squash them.
Now keep away from me, I tell you. No.
Where are you going to run to, Freddie? There ain't no place to hide. Not here.
I got a gun.
That makes you a big shot again, don't it?
I'll let you have it, Smiley. I swear I will.
That gun sort of takes Joe's size, don't it? You weak little...
I warned you.
Have a drink, Freddie. With a Mickey. With a Mickey in it.
I didn't want to do it, Smiley. Not again, honest. I just got him before he got me, that's all. It's all mixed up. I don't know how he got here, but I'm alive. Luck's coming my way again. This time for good. I got a feeling. Lucky Rabbit's Foot, Lucky Penny, everything lucky. Lady Luck, she's on my side now. I see a car outside. I hear it. Yeah. Moon-eye headlights straight at me. Yeah. Just hop a ride to L.A., I'll be okay. Hey, you! Just wave my hands like this. Just stop. Up and down, up, down, up, down. Good. Slowing down. I'm okay now. Left, mister, left. No. It's my bus with the right wheel. And it's still ain't no driver.
Bus number 22 checking in, Tom.
Okay, Johnny, I'll take it.
Yeah, I hear you had a little excitement. Excitement? Yeah, I guess so.
What do you mean, you guess so?
You nab a couple of murderers on your bus, then? Well, there wasn't no excitement in it for me.
What?
You see, I wasn't there. They were all asleep when the bus broke down. There was no one to talk to, so after the tow car hooked onto the bus, I went up front in the tow car to chew the rag.
Yeah, so?
So, nothing. When this guy wakes up, he went nuts. Started yapping about a murder and jumped off the bus. We had to chase him all through the desert, and he was so far gone he didn't even see the tow car when we found him again.
So what happened to him then?
He was nuts, I tell you, off his rocker.
Yeah?
Sure. We turned him and his buddy over to the cops in the next town at just about 12 o'clock midnight.
A bus without a driver in a ghost town in the desert. Perhaps our two friends will make that same trip again, and very soon, when they make their final payment for their...
Murder at midnight.
third wheel on a lonely journey, and the clocks strike 12 for
Murder at Midnight.
The part of Freddy was played by John Sylvester. With music by Charles Paul, Murder at Midnight was directed by Anton M. Leader.
This I believe. E.W. Jackson of Austin, Texas, is a man of great perseverance. He was reared on a farm by Texas pioneer parents. He wanted to become a lawyer, and to make his way he taught school, worked as a streetcar motorman, and managed a bookstore. Today he is the president of the Steck Company, a publishing firm. In 1933, he completed his legal studies and was admitted to the Texas bar. Now he is the chairman of a commission to redraft the city charter of Austin, Texas. Hear now the creed of Mr. E.W. Jackson.
I believe the most satisfying pursuit in life is in seeking perfection, trying to be like God as I conceive Him. My concepts of perfection grow. As I reach what once seemed distant goals, new and more fascinating ones come into view. So I shall never attain perfection, and my satisfactions in seeking it will never end. Though the pursuit is unending, I can measure the distance I have come, but I cannot conceive the end, perfection. If I could, I should arrive, and my satisfactions would be ended, since they lie in pursuit. I believe God's laws operate in all realms of life. So in home, shop, store, school, or on the highway, I can pursue perfection just as really as when I worship formally. That is not to say that worship may be neglected. I believe that the earnestness of my search for perfection during my mortal life will have much to do with my immortal satisfactions. I believe in prayer, not because I think I will be handed as a gift the things I might ask for. I think of prayer as a means of tuning in on the supreme intelligence. Effective prayer seeks only to place the supplicant in harmony with the divine. Gaining this harmony may bring spiritual and moral powers that under other conditions would seem miraculous. And speaking of miracles, I think they are regarded as miracles only to the extent that we do not understand God's laws. I think He does not violate His laws. I believe that no worthwhile gain is made without sacrifice. Social gains usually cost dearly. Even so small a thing as a needed traffic light is usually not installed until someone has lost his life at the spot. I believe I should be willing to make personal sacrifices to improve my country. Such sacrifices may range from taking time to vote, to furnishing political leadership in a cause that will result in loss to myself, or even to giving my life. I believe willingness to sacrifice for unborn generations is evidence of the divine imprint on man. Fear is the most blighting emotion that can affect my life. The more fully I trust the kindness and complete goodness of God, the less I fear. When there is no fear, it is easy to be kind and generous to neighbor and stranger alike. This complete trust does not lead to a fatalistic attitude. I have been given tools with which to work, hands, mind, body, so it is not for me to say, what is to be will be, and since God is good, all things will end well. Rather, I should say, God is my Father. He has work to do, and I am His partner, so I must help. With Him and His children working together, the ultimate will be good. And finally, I must see the greatest opportunities to carry out my part of this partnership in my own family, the boy next door, in my own town and community. I must not let my concept of a partnership with God give me delusions of grandeur that will make me starry-eyed and ineffective. These are my beliefs. I have difficulty living up to them, but they furnish me a satisfactory philosophy of life. Being reared in a fundamentalist religious home, I went through some groping periods in my early 20s that, measured by the beliefs of my parents, pointed to atheism. But that groping, plus years of living, has given me these beliefs.
That was Mr. E.W. Jackson, an attorney and president of a publishing firm in Austin, Texas.
New post-war Old Dutch cleanser, famous for chasing dirt, presents Nick Carter, famous for chasing crime. Each week at this time, two great names are joined, as new post-war Old Dutch cleanser brings you one of the most resourceful and daring characters in all detective fiction, Nick Carter, Master Detective.
Well, Patsy, at last I know the name of the killer, how he murdered his victims, and why.
Well, then let's go.
Let's go where?
Why, let's go arrest him, of course.
Not so fast, Patsy. There's still one slight hitch.
Hitch? What is it?
Well, I know all these things, but I can't prove a darn one of them.
And now, the case of the Salesman of Death. Today's exciting adventure starring Lon Clark as Nick Carter, brought to you by new post-war Old Dutch cleanser. As our story opens, Nick Carter is just completing a telephone conversation with a would-be client.
I understand, Mrs. Gordon, but... Yes, but if you don't... All right, Mrs. Gordon, I'll come out right away. That, Patsy, was the rich Mrs. Benjamin Gordon of Park Avenue on Newport.
Oh, you mean the one who gives so much money to charity and is mixed up in the East Bay Boys Club?
That's the one.
Well, what's with her?
Seems someone wrote her a threatening letter, so get your hat. She's waiting for it.
I've already got it, Nick, but, just what did this mysterious someone threaten Mrs. Gordon with anyway?
Apparently, someone is trying to kill her by prayer.
Almighty powers too great for the mind of mortal to know. I pray you, grant the boon of death to the woman, Mrs. Benjamin Gordon.
Come in, Mr. Carter. Mrs. Gordon is expecting you. Thank you. I'm Albert Farmer, Mrs. Gordon's secretary. And this is Miss Bowen, my assistant. Oh, how do you do, Miss Bowen?
How do you do?
In here, please. Sorry, I dropped my cane. Oh, I got it. Thank you. I turned my ankle last week, and I'm still clumsy with this cane. Get it through the store, please. Thank you. Mrs. Gordon, here's Mr. Carter and his assistant, Miss Bowen. How do you do, Mrs. Gordon?
How do you do?
How do you do? See, Andy, I told you you'd still be alive and kicking when Mr. Carter got here.
Be quiet, Blake. This is my nephew, Blake Gordon, Mr. Carter. He's lazy and impertinent. Pay no attention to him.
Now, Andy, you know Mr. Carter will suspect me instantly. I'm the only one who has any reason to want you dead. I'm the only one who inherits anything, except those charities of yours.
That's enough, Blake. Well, Mr. Carter, you certainly took your time. I could have been dead before you got here.
The time seemed longer because you're so upset, Mrs. Gordon.
Of course I'm upset.
Now, over the phone, you mentioned a letter.
Yes, that horrid letter. Give it to him, Albert.
Here it is, Mr. Carter. Thank you. Cheap envelope. Addressed in a typewriter, huh?
But it has a return address. People who write threatening letters don't usually give their addresses.
No, they don't. Temple of Thought, 5138 2nd Avenue.
That's the worst slum district in the city.
What in the world is the Temple of Thought?
Don't know. Now, let's see what the letter says. Dear Mrs. Gordon, I'm happy to inform you that the boon of death has been requested for you.
Oh.
I've begun to pray for your release from life in accordance with the ancient ritual. I advise you to put your affairs in order so that you may enter into the peace of eternity with a free mind. Signed, Rama, High Priest of the Temple of Thought.
Well, I've seen threatening letters before, but this certainly beats them all.
I feel sure it's from a crank. Don't you agree, Mr. Carter?
Not necessarily, Mr. Farmer, though it certainly is worded curiously.
My theory is that Williams, the chauffeur, is behind this, Andy. Remember, when you discharged him last week, he threatened to kill you.
We're not interested in your theories, Blake. Mr. Carter, you must catch this Rama person and lock him up immediately.
All right, I'll call on him right away and see what he's up to. Have you notified the police?
The police? No. Relying entirely on you. Albert.
Yes, Mrs. Gordon.
Go upstairs and make sure there are no prowlers lurking about.
Certainly, Mrs. Gordon.
And I'm going up and lock myself in my room until this Rama person is dealt with.
I don't think you're in any real danger, Mrs. Gordon, but... Well, it can't do any harm to take precautions.
All clear, Mrs. Gordon.
Then I'm going upstairs. Blake, you will see Mr. Carter and Miss Bowman to the door.
Righto, Andy. I hope you can ease the old girl's mind. You see, her bark is worse than her bite. Why, she's given away...
Miss Gordon!
What happened? She's falling downstairs.
Oh!
She fell all the way to the foot of the stairs.
Oh, she isn't moving, Nick.
What is it? What's happened to Mrs. Gordon?
She fell down the stairs.
Miss Carter, is she...
Sorry, Mr. Gordon, but your aunt is dead.
Now, look, Nick, I've been in the Homicide Bureau for 10 years, and I've never heard of anyone getting prayed to death. That's strictly screwball stuff.
I know, Matty, but just the same, 2 hours after she received that letter, Mrs. Gordon died.
But accidentally, Nick. Annie the maid and Blake Gordon, the nephew, swear they saw her fall down the stairs, break her neck when nobody was near her.
That's true, I know, but...
And her secretary who was upstairs swear there was no one in the upper hall.
Well, even so,
Okay, it was an accident. She fainted or had a heart attack.
Matty, did you notice that according to the coroner's report, there was a curious bruise on her body, a small round bruise directly over the solar plexus?
So what? Naturally, she bruised herself falling downstairs.
But she fell backwards.
Oh, listen, Nick.
All right. Anyway, I thought you'd want to question this Rama with me. That's why I left Patsy at the office and stopped by for you.
Of course, I want to talk to him, but I still say you don't kill people by praying them to death. Ma, no answer. Maybe Mr. Rama has beat it.
I doubt it. Let's try the door.
Okay. Hey, it ain't even locked.
I suppose we see what a temple of thought looks like.
All right. Oh, brother. What a joint.
You can say that again.
An old loft all fixed up with red velvet curtains and funny-looking idols.
Somebody certainly likes Oriental incense.
You wish to see Rama, High Priest of the Temple of Thought?
Hey, where did you come from?
From behind the curtains. I was meditating and could not answer your knock.
You Rama?
I am Rama, and you are the police.
What,
You have come to question me about the death of Mrs. Benjamin Gordon.
Hey, how do you know she's dead? Ain't been announced yet?
The spirits arranged for me to be informed. It was I who killed her.
Oh, you're admitting it, huh?
I am not admitting it. I am stating it.
Then you're confessing to murder.
Now you're being ridiculous. It is not yet a crime to pray for someone to die.
Got us there, Matty.
No.
I thank you for realizing the obvious.
We're not here to charge you with murder. We want information.
Rama has no secret.
Then suppose you explain what you're up to, and fast.
I am an Oriental mystic. It happens I know a rare and ancient Eastern prayer that frequently brings death within a very short time.
You mean you're in the business of selling death?
Yes, but quite legally.
Well, of all the...
There are many people who desire someone's death.
Sure, but...
They come to me and pay what they can. I provide the death prayer. I make no guarantee, but if death does not occur within 1 year, I refund the money. It is a simple business transaction.
Just how many times have you been successful to date?
More than you will believe. I will give the names of 6 persons who I have provided with death. You may check them for yourself.
You're darn right we will. Suppose you tell us who it was that ordered Mrs. Gordon's death.
I do not know.
What do you mean you don't know?
The order came by mail with $500 bills enclosed.
500?
The note was composed of words clipped from newspapers and simply asked me to pray for the death of Mrs. Gordon.
So you prayed and she died?
Yes. So the transaction is closed.
Why, you ought to be...
Pardon me. Hello? Yes, this is Rama speaking. Thank you. I was sure you would be satisfied. I understand. Goodbye.
Hey, who was that?
That gentleman was the client who ordered Mrs. Gordon's death.
What?
He said that he is highly pleased with my services and is sending me an order for a second death prayer tomorrow.
Well, apparently Nick has encountered a new and baffling method of murder. We'll find out more about it in just a moment. Now, back to the case of the Salesman of Death. Today's adventure with Nick Carter, brought to you by new post-war Old Dutch Cleanser. It is the morning after the mysterious death of Mrs. Benjamin Gordon. Nick and Patsy at the office are trying to puzzle out the truth of the case.
Nick, could Rammer have had anything to do with Mrs. Gordon's death? Or was it just one of those horrible coincidences that she fell down the stairs?
The answer is no to both questions, Patsy.
Well, do you suppose Mrs. Gordon's nephew and that maid Annie are lying when they say they saw her fall down the stairs and that nobody was anywhere near her?
Well, could be. So far, Blake Gordon is the only person we know who has a motive.
Yeah. He gets $100,000 in the old lady's will. And he needs it.
Well, you get more, except that the rest of her money goes to charity.
True. Say, how about that chauffeur Williams Mrs. Gordon fired last week?
Well, we're checking on him.
Oh, just the same, I can't help believing that Rama may have some kind of strange power.
Yes, on the face of it, Rama's powers are very convincing. Only I'm not convinced.
Well, yesterday he said his client was going to order another death prayer. And if somebody else dies now, then we'll know Rama's on the level.
I hope we can see to it that no one else does die. Matty's going to let me know if he gets a report from anybody who...
Hey, Nick! Nick!
Hey, what the devil's the matter, Matty?
Come on, Nick. I got a squad car outside. Just had a phone call from old Hiram Worth. That devil Rama has started praying him to death.
Hiram Worth?
Yeah.
But he's one of the richest men in the city.
Oh, look, Matty, I better phone him first.
Oh, for the love of heaven.
I want to tell him we're on the way and warn him to be careful. It'll only take a minute.
Well, okay, but make it fast. That Rama guy's probably praying for him to die right this moment.
Yeah.
Hello?
Hello, I'd like to speak to Mr. Worth, please.
I'm sorry, but that is impossible.
But this is Nick Carter speaking.
I'm sorry, Mr. Carter, but Mr. Worth cannot come to the phone. He died 5 minutes ago.
Look, Gibbs, you say that after Mr. Worth read that letter from the High Priest Rama, he phoned Sergeant Matheson and then stayed in his library with you on guard outside. That right?
Yes, sir.
And no one came near him?
No, sir, not a soul. Mr. Worth was very much upset at reading about the death of Mrs. Gordon, and he was taking no chances.
Did he know Mrs. Gordon?
Oh, yes, sir. The two of them founded the East Bay Boys Club. Mr. Worth was chairman of the Board of Governors, and Mrs. Gordon was treasurer.
I see.
In fact, they had an appointment to meet only today to look into its affairs. They were very disturbed about something.
Yeah, well, that's got nothing to do with the fact that they got killed. Now, let's...
Not so fast, Matty.
What?
This East Bay Boys Club seems to be a link between Worth and Mrs. Gordon. The only genuine link we've found.
Well, sure, but...
Well, inasmuch as their deaths must be tied together somehow, maybe it's through this boys' club.
I don't see how they could be, Nick.
Well, neither do I yet. But, Gibbs.
Yes, sir.
You didn't leave the house for a single minute.
Just long enough to slip outdoors and mail a letter for Mr. Worth. But I wasn't gone more than a minute or so.
What was the letter you mailed?
Why, this morning, along with the letter from this Rama person, Mr. Worth also received a letter from a Mr. Smith in Raleigh, North Carolina, offering to sell him a rare early American glass bowl at a very good price. Mr. Worth was very keen on early American glassware.
So I've heard. Go on, please.
Well, he'd been searching for just such a bowl for years. In fact, only last month he wrote Mrs. Gordon, who also collects glassware, asking her to sell him the bowl she owns. She refused. So you see, he was delighted to learn that one was for sale. And while he was waiting for you, he made out his check, sealed in the self-addressed envelope Mr. Smith enclosed, and sent me out to post it immediately.
Which you did, huh?
And when I returned, Mr. Worth was perfectly all right. But 5 minutes later, he cried out. I rushed in. There he was, slumped across his desk, dead.
Gibbs, I'd like to see the envelope the letter from this Mr. Smith arrived in.
Yes, Mr. Carter. Ought to be right here. Yes, here it is.
Hey, Matty, look at this. What? The return address is Raleigh, North Carolina. But this envelope was postmarked right here in the city.
And it's a phony.
Yes, Matty, a very deadly phony. Unless I miss my guess, whatever killed Hiram Worth is in the U.S. mail, and we can't get it back. Hi, Betsy.
Well, you look pleased with yourself.
I am. Last, I'm making some progress.
Oh, such as what?
Discovered that the finances of the Bay Boys Club are in bad shape.
Really?
Yes, ma'am. And my guess about Hiram Worth's death has been proved correct.
Huh?
He was killed by poison mucilage on the flap of that letter he sealed just before he died.
But, Nick, how did you get hold of that letter?
Fortunately, Hiram Worth was a very methodical man.
Uh-huh.
He put his return address on the envelope when he sealed it.
Oh, so when the post office couldn't deliver it back to the fake address written on it, it came right back here.
Right. And an analysis showed that there was enough poison in the mucilage and the flap to kill 3 men.
Yeah, but who sent the letter, Nick? Rama?
I'd guess the man who hired Rama didn't trust Rama's powers any more than I do, and decided to help them out a little.
Uh-huh. Have you any idea who he is?
Logically, only one person could have done it.
Oh, but logic isn't proof.
No, it isn't. I haven't any proof yet. And that means we'll have to make him trap himself.
Trap himself? How?
I have a plan in mind. Pretty elaborate, but if it works, we'll be able to wash the whole case up tonight.
Oh, that'll be swell.
And as our first step, Patsy, we're going to call on Mr. High Priest Rama.
It is Mr. Carter and his attractive assistant. Please to enter the Temple of Thought.
Thank you.
What's that record you're playing?
It is the ritual drum which signals the unseen powers that I command. The powers of death.
You mean you're praying somebody else to death now?
It is so. This morning my new client wrote in closing still a third order.
And may we ask who this new victim is to be?
You may indeed. I was just about to inform you. The drums of death, Mr. Carter, are beating for you.
So now Nick himself is to be prayed to death. And when the High Priest Rama begins his strange spell, something fatal always happens. We'll find out how Nick evades the deadly fate that has already overtaken at least 2 victims in just a minute. And now for the conclusion of the case of the Salesman of Death. Today's Nick Carter adventure, brought to you by new post-war Old Dutch Cleanser. It is evening, and at Nick's request, everyone connected with the case, including Sergeant Matheson, has gathered at the Temple of Thought. Uneasily, they sit in a circle in the dimly lighted room, while Rama, the mysterious high priest, stands aloof in flowing robes and a fantastic turban.
Quiet, everyone, please. Quiet, please. I know you're all wondering why I've asked you to come here. Well, the answer is that one of you is responsible for the deaths of Mrs. Gordon and Mr. Worth. With Rama's help, we're going to punish that person. Before we begin, I want to be sure you're all here of your own free will. First, Mrs. Gordon's nephew, Blake Gordon.
Righto, Miss Carter. I haven't been so intrigued in years.
Mrs. Gordon's maid, Annie.
I said I'd come, and I'm here. But I don't like this place. It scares me.
We won't be long, Annie.
Oh.
Albert Farmer, Mrs. Gordon's secretary.
I'm here voluntarily, Mr. Carter. Glad to help out if I can.
And Gibbs, Mr. Worth's valet.
I'm here because you asked me, Mr. Carter. I don't like it, but if it will help avenge Mr. Worth's death, I'll stay.
And last, Williams, Mrs. Gordon's former chauffeur.
Sure, I'm here, my own free will. I shut off my mouth when the old lady fired me, but I never touched the old battle axe. I'm here to see I ain't framed.
Then we can get going. One person here tonight used the strange and mysterious powers of Rama to bring death to 2 people. It's only simple justice that we should use Rama's mystic powers to bring punishment to that person, who, it seems, cannot be touched by the law.
Hey, look, Nick.
Wait a minute. Silence, please. Rama,
Rama is at your service.
begin the prayer of punishment for the one who paid you to bring death to Mrs. Gordon and Mr. Worth.
Rama will invoke the ancient ordeal by fire, used for 10 times 10,000 years to make the guilty known to his fellows. Slowly the blood in the guilty one's veins will come to a boil. He will feel his skin on fire. Heat will envelop him. And if he does not speak, he will die screaming in madness.
You can't be serious about this, Mr. Carter.
Really, now, that sounds absurd.
Hey, Nick, for the love of Mike.
Silence, please, everyone. I'm perfectly serious, as the guilty person will discover when the incantation begins to work. Rama, begin.
Almighty powers beyond the knowing of mere mortals, your servant calls down the ordeal by fire upon the one who has willed the deaths of others. I begin the first drum of the fire ritual.
I'm enjoying the music, but nothing seems to be happening.
I'm afraid. I want to go home.
Hey, you gotta let me out of here. Those drums are giving me the willies.
Mr. Carter, I can't stand it much longer. I can't.
Silence, everyone.
Oh, this is all just a trick of some kind. Stop those drums and let us out of here.
Why, Mr. Farmer, you're perspiring badly. Your face is flushed. You feeling too warm?
No. No, of course not. You're trying some kind of trick, and I've had enough. Stop those drums, I say.
Rama, stop the drums. Turn on the lights.
Rama hears and obeys, but the spell cannot be stopped.
Mr. Farmer, your face is streaming with perspiration. Your skin is as red as fire. You sure you don't feel uncomfortably warm?
What if I do? You can't fool me. You're up to some hocus pocus. You poisoned me. You're trying to pin this whole thing on me, but you can't do it.
You haven't had a thing to eat or drink since you came here. You haven't been poisoned.
You've turned the heat on in here. You're all in some kind of a plot.
No one else is suffering from the heat. No, Mr. Farmer. Rama's spell is working, and nothing can stop it. Nothing but a confession by the guilty person.
You're lying. Rama's just a fake. I looked him up. I know just how big a fake he is.
Then why do you feel as if you were on fire? Your skin is burning hot. That proves Rama's spells are no trickery.
No, I've used Rama to fool you all from the beginning, but you can't use him to fool me. I won't be tricked into confessing. I won't be...
But you have confessed, Farmer. Okay, Matty, put the handcuffs on him.
Now listen, Nick, I want a few facts out of you.
And so do I.
Facts? Well, you both heard Albert Farmer's confession after he realized he'd given himself away, and you know how he killed Mrs. Gordon.
Yeah, sure. He hid behind the draperies at the head of the stairs, and when she got within a couple of steps to the top, he jabbed the end of his cane against her solar plexus as hard as he could. She fell head over heels down the stairs and broke her neck.
Uh-huh. And she was in such a position that her nephew and maid who were downstairs couldn't see the cane. That's what made it look like an accident.
Okay, that's that. And you already know how Farmer killed Worth with the poisoned envelope. Then you also know the motive behind both murders.
Well, sure. Albert said they were going to investigate the affairs of the East Bay Boys Club.
Yeah, but what did he have to do with the boys' club?
Well, think for a minute. Mrs. Gordon was treasurer of the charity.
Okay, but...
Now, would a woman as old as Mrs. Gordon do the actual work herself?
Why, of course not. She'd give the job to someone else. And the natural person for her to pick would be her secretary.
Then Albert handled all the money she and Worth contributed.
Right.
Yeah.
And he managed to steal about $30,000, as I discovered by checking the books.
Yeah, but Nick, why were you so sure Albert was guilty?
Because of that fake letter to Mr. Worth. It had to be sent by someone who knew Worth wanted a bowl such as the one described in the letter. And also knew he wanted it so badly he'd be sure to answer by return mail.
Yeah, I see what you mean.
Now, Gibbs, you remember, told us Worth had written Mrs. Gordon asking her to sell him the antique bowl she owned.
Uh-huh.
So she knew he wanted a bowl, Gibbs knew it, Worth knew it, and the person who handled Mrs. Gordon's correspondence knew it.
In other words, Albert Farmer.
But that still wasn't proof. That's why I had to use an elaborate psychological third degree on Albert in order to trick him into confessing. He used Rama to confuse us, so I used Rama to confuse him.
Well, Nick, does Rama really have any supernatural powers?
Of course not. Albert was simply using him for camouflage. Rama's just a clever faker who thought up this death prayer racket about a year ago.
But if Rama's a fake, what happened to Albert there tonight?
That, Patsy, was psychology, not magic.
Psychology?
Sure. Albert Farmer came to the Temple of Thought feeling he could bluff his way through anything that happened. But fear finally caught up with him.
You mean that even though he knew Rama was a phony, he started to think all that incantation baloney might work?
Maybe. In any case, Farmer began to feel trapped. He got uneasy, nervous, his blood pressure went up.
And then when you started to give him the business...
Then the heat was really on. He couldn't take it any longer. Broke out in a cold sweat and then made a slip. After that, getting a confession out of him was duck soup.
Nick, I got to hand it to you. You sure figured out a new way of turning the heat on a killer.
Carter, Master Detective, is presented each week at this time by the Cudahy Packing Company. It is produced and directed by Jock McGregor and is copyrighted by Street & Smith Publications, Incorporated. Charlotte Manson is featured as Patsy. Ed Latimer plays Matty. Today's script was written by Robert J. Arthur. Original music is played by Henry Silverne. This program is fictional, and any resemblance to actual persons, living or dead, is purely coincidental.
This, I believe. Maturity is a continuing process. Professor E.W. Zebarth of the University of Minnesota, an expert in the technique of speech and radio education, holds that men's minds grow in proportion to their exposure to fresh ideas. After exposing himself to many, in many parts of the world, he reveals his personal beliefs.
The title of this program has a very special meaning for me. I remember vividly how, as a high school boy, I once expressed skepticism about a point made by one of my teachers. He was a very wise man, and instead of taking me to task for my discourtesy, he said, "You've often told me what you do not believe. I should like some time to know what you do believe." I was startled, and I'm ashamed to say a little irritated. Of course I knew what I believed. Any sensible person did. So that night the lights in my room burned long after my bedtime. I decided to write a paper entitled, "This I Believe." I'd show that instructor how mature my judgment really was. Well, I got as far as the title. I set it down at the top of the page, but somehow the words didn't flow. The paper remained distressingly blank. I was discovering, to my amazement and deep humiliation, what many another has discovered, that my system of beliefs was by no means clear, precise, or systematic. It was a real shock to discover that I had substituted skepticism and criticism for a pattern of values. And I highly resolved that if anyone ever again asked me what I did believe, I'd be able to tell him. And yet, now that Edward R. Murrow raises this question once again almost 20 years later, I find that it's still difficult to put these beliefs into words. But I have seen enough of the loss of freedom in various parts of the world to emphasize its values both for the individual and for his group. And so, when I say to myself, these things I do deeply believe, I'm likely to list first an abiding faith in the principles of a genuinely free society. Not only freedom for those who believe as I do, for that would be no real freedom at all, but the kind which allows for open competition in the marketplace of ideas. I believe that when freedom is lost anywhere, there is a loss everywhere. It cannot be isolated. It knows no national frontiers. And eternal vigilance is not the only price of freedom. A part of the price is our willingness to accept that full responsibility which is basic to all meaningful freedoms. I have found, too, that a belief in the dignity and worth of those individuals with whom I am in daily touch is, in my case at least, essential to living a reasonably rich, full, and happy life. And I have a deep and abiding faith that over the generations and the centuries, the people are likely to be wiser than those who think themselves wiser than the people. I believe strongly in the need for extending the frontiers of knowledge and information. A man's right to believe in something of which he has never heard is only a painful illusion. And freedom from ignorance, prejudice, and fear are among those freedoms I cherish. I believe that for each of us, some skepticism is an infinitely healthy thing, that we should, before accepting a generalization, say, at least to ourselves, what is the evidence? Do I believe this because it seems logical, because it's been demonstrated by experiment, because I believe in the inherent wisdom and judgment of the man who says it's so, or do I simply accept it because it's the fashionable thing to believe? Those of my friends who are least serene and most unhappy, I think, are those who believe nothing at all, who say, in these days of propaganda and of the big lie, there is nothing in which I can believe. That attitude seems to me to be fully as dangerous as one which allows the individual to be blown and buffeted in all directions by every breeze of opinion which strikes him. However, I would also agree with Emerson that truth is the property of no individual, but is the treasure of all men.
That was the creed of a teacher who has also distinguished himself as a radio news analyst, the University of Minnesota's Professor E.W. Zebarth.
Wheaties presents Night Beat. On stage tonight from Hollywood, Night Beat, another in the Wheaties' big parade of exciting half-hour presentations. Night Beat.
Hi, this is Randy Stone. I cover the Night Beat for the Chicago Star. Stories begin in many different ways. This one began and ended with a confession to the crime of murder.
Night Beat, starring Frank Lovejoy as Randy Stone.
I have a little boy 3 years old, and he eats Wheaties without any sugar or cream on them, just plain, like peanuts. Now, this isn't necessary for you, of course. You can put sugar and milk and fruit on your Wheaties if you want to. But they are good enough to eat plain. They're crisp, they have a nut-like taste. They're all by themselves for flavor. And they give you all their whole wheat goodness in every crispy bite. So if you choose to sit on the back steps eating Wheaties out of the box, it's your very own business. We won't complain. You'll still get that whole wheat and all the nourishment in it. Eat Wheaties any way you like it. But eat them often. So good. Wheaties. Breakfast of champions, that is.
You can't keep a finger on a city's pulse without having some of its sweat and tears rub off on you. But sometimes the difference between turning a corner or going straight ahead, opening a door or passing it by, is all that separates safety from danger, horror from happiness, or life from death. Tonight the difference lay in whether I should or should not get a shave before starting on my nightly tour of duty. I decided on the shave. Usually I go to a barber shop on the 5th floor of the Conway building in the heart of the Loop. By the time I got there, however, it was after 6 and the elevator operators had all gone. 2 of the lifts were still operating on a self-service basis, so I got in one and pushed the button for the 5th floor. The elevator was almost to the 4th floor level when a sudden yelling drew my attention to the little window in the elevator door. I pressed the emergency stop. A tall, thin-faced man had been lunging at someone out of vision. If there was ever murder on a man's face, it was on his.
I saw you talking to the FBI. You told them. I didn't. I was only trying to help you.
I brought the elevator down to the floor level without stopping to think what I might be getting myself into. When the doors opened, I saw them rolling around the corridor ahead in a desperate struggle. The tall man was on top, his left hand flailing at the other's face with a briefcase, while with his right he was trying to drive a long, thin blade into the other's chest.
Help! Don't! Harlan, please!
Hey, drop that knife! The human beanpole saw me coming and scrambled to his feet.
So he told you to, huh? He told you.
Look, pal.
I'll kill him.
Take it easy.
Take your hands off me. I'll kill you.
He slashed at my face as I threw up my arm. The point of his blade snagged in my sleeve and jerked out of his hands. He darted for the elevator, and I ran after him in the best tradition of Frank Merriwell saving the game for dear old Yale. My form may have been all-American, but my flying tackle was all wet. His heel caught me in the head, and I fell on my face, lost in the stars.
Are you hurt?
Oh, no, I'm just stupid. Every time I try to borrow trouble, I always find my credits full.
Here, let me help you up.
I'm terribly sorry.
Oh, thank you. I'm all right. How about you?
No, he didn't hurt me.
Well, he was sure trying. He a friend of yours?
Will you come into my office and address that bruise on your cheek? I'm Dr. Reichel.
Well, I'm Randy Stone. You better give the police a ring right away. That fellow's a maniac. Who is he, anyway?
Oh, he's one of my patients. That's my office over there.
Now, one moment. Let's not forget our evidence. This knife he dropped.
Well, it isn't a knife. It's a letter opener. He took it off my desk.
A letter opener?
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's different. What was he trying to do? Open you with it?
Oh, now, please, come in. I'll put something on that bruise and try to explain.
Thank you.
Let's see, a little methyl should pick that up.
Yeah.
I can't tell you how deeply I appreciate what you did.
Oh, it was nothing. He was only trying to kill you.
Will you hold still a moment? There. Yeah. You see, the man is my patient. A disordered personality.
Are you an alienist, Doctor?
Yes, my field is psychiatry.
Well, from what I saw, your patient is more than a disordered personality. He's a homicidal maniac.
And I'm Mr. Stone.
Well, aren't you going to call the police? Or do I have to?
Oh, please. No, what happened was just an accident.
An accident? This hole in my sleeve wasn't made by Moz, Doctor. He tried to knife me, too, remember?
But only because he identified you with me. Now, it's not too unusual in a case of this sort for a patient to transfer his persecution complexes against the doctor who is treating him.
Oh, yes, but...
But what happened tonight is entirely my fault. I was so encouraged over certain other developments that I overlooked the extent of his immediate hysteria.
So, what happens if he comes back and kills you? Do you get a medal?
No, he won't try. Not again. I can assure you. All I ask is that you don't report this incident. To have him arrested would destroy my chances of curing the poor fellow. Now, you won't, will you?
Well, okay, Doc. You probably know what you're doing, I hope. Who is he, anyway? What's his name?
Now, Mr. Stone. Please. I'm sorry.
Okay, Doc. They say a guy is only as big as the things that annoy him. And he's kind of tough when the annoyance is 6'4" and has a knife that makes him even bigger. Well, it just goes to show you. A few seconds earlier, a few seconds later, I'd have gone right up and had a shave from a barber. As it was, I arrived just in time for a close shave at the hands of fate. She was at my elbow again, I guess, when I took the elevator back down into the lobby. Only this time, fate was in the flesh, and a lot of it.
Oh, excuse me. Hey, did you drop this here?
What?
This briefcase. I was cleaning him back when I see you come in. When I come out, this briefcase is lying by the elevator. I just finished cleaning, so I know it's not here before. It's yours?
Harlan Matthews.
Huh?
I'm just looking at the name stamped on the letter. No, it isn't mine, but I know whose it is. It's one of Dr. Reichel's patients upstairs. I'll be glad to go up again and bring it to him.
Oh, thank you. I'm late finishing here already.
Harlan Matthews. I'd heard the doctor call him Harlan. It was the same man and the same briefcase he'd been using to bash Dr. Reichel over the head. As the elevator doors opened on the 4th floor, the doors of another elevator slammed shut and started down. I found Dr. Reichel's office locked and the light out. Obviously, he'd just left. I went down to the street level again, but the city had swallowed him up. I looked inside the briefcase. It contained a heavy album of foreign stamps belonging to Harlan Matthews. A phone book in the corner drugstore showed 2 numbers for Matthews, his home and his business. I tried his home.
Hello?
I'd like to speak to Harlan Matthews.
Oh, he's not in. Is there any message?
Is this Mrs. Matthews?
Yes.
Your husband left a briefcase in the Conway building.
The
and
Conway building? Have you seen him there? This isn't Dr. Reichel, is it?
No, Mrs. Matthews. My name is Stone. However, I did see your husband at Dr. Reichel's office just a little while
ago.
ago.
I just phoned there.
Well, you must have just missed him.
Well, where is Harlan now? He's coming home, isn't he?
Have you tried his office?
There's no answer. Isn't he coming home?
Well, that I don't know. Dr. Reichel may be able to tell you.
Oh, I've been trying to get him at his home for the last 2 hours. He never keeps his office open this late. I just called him on the bare chance that he might be there.
Oh. Mrs. Matthews, why does your husband hate Dr. Reichel?
Oh, well, Harlan is sick. He doesn't know what he's saying.
Well, then, what does he imagine?
I don't know. He won't tell me. It's since the war. It's something to do with the war, something that happened. I don't know what it is. He's sick.
Yes, of course, Mrs. Matthews. Well, I'll drive over with the briefcase. I just called to be sure that somebody'd be home. The Matthews lived in a small apartment on the north side. I barely touched the doorbell before I heard her footsteps, almost running to open it.
Oh.
She was a faded little woman just this side of middle age. Behind her in a crib, a baby was crying. Mrs. Matthews, I'm Randy Stone.
Mr. Stone, I need help.
What's wrong, the baby?
No, it's Harlan. He just phoned. He's at his office. The way he talks, I think he's going to kill himself. Please, you're a friend of his, aren't you? You've just got to stop him.
All right, where's your telephone?
Why?
Well, the police can get to him a lot quicker than we can.
No, he warned me that if I sent Dr. Reichel to the police, he'd kill them and himself.
Well, okay then, let's go.
Oh, my baby.
If we're not too late already.
Oh, I can't. My baby is so sick. I just can't leave her. I can't.
All right, Mrs. Matthews, it's all right. You stick here. I'll handle it. Harlan Matthews' business address was a third-floor shop in a third-class shopping district. The dry goods store on the street level was still open for business. Its long awning still hung over the sidewalk in memory of the recent May Day sunshine. The windows above it were all dark, except one on the third floor. The lettering on it read, H. Matthews, Stamps Bought and Sold. I climbed 2 flights to the third-floor landing. The doors of the stamp emporium were half open. Inside, Harlan Matthews was seated at a desk, his thin, bloodless face seeming to stare straight at me. But the light was in his eyes, and I knew he couldn't see too much. Not until I got inside, anyway. Hello, Mr. Matthews.
Yes, what is it?
I found a briefcase with your name on it.
Huh? Well, where is it?
Your wife has it. I gave it to her.
You came here just to tell me that?
Well, not entirely.
Oh, I see. She sent you here.
Well, look, Mr. Matthews, you have a... Keep your hands on the desk. Don't do it. Drop it. Drop that gun.
Let go, you fool. I'm using the gun on myself.
You're not using it on anybody. Drop it. Drop it. I'll take that. Sorry I had to hurt you, Matthews, but you're a lot better off alive than dead, believe me.
Why, so you can arrest me?
Arrest you? What makes you think I'm a cop?
Don't think I'm so blind that I didn't recognize you when you came in here. You tried to jump me at Reichel's office tonight. Waiting out in the corridor. You think I didn't know what was going on? That Reichel had ratted on me.
You've got the doc all wrong.
Oh, I have, ally. As if I couldn't see through this stupid act of yours. You and Dr. Reichel trying to help me, too, aren't you? All I have to do is talk, don't I? Just relax and talk. Well, what would you like to hear?
Look, friend, you don't have to tell me a thing.
Yes, why repeat what you know already? Dr. Reichel's already told you everything I ever confided in him. What do you want, a written confession that I shot Captain Training in the back? Well, I did. Write it down. I'll sign it. Is that what you want?
If you don't mind.
Details? You like details?
Look,
May 6, 1943, 2 days before we took Tunis. Out patrol. Write it down. I hated him. He was a lousy dog, arrogant, insulting. All right, there it is. Motive, time, place, everything. You satisfied?
No, I'm just tired. If you feel like talking, talk to the police, not me. I never saw either you or Dr. Reichel before tonight. My name is Stone. I'm with the Star. If you doubt it, pick up the phone and find out.
The papers? Reichel told the papers?
Well, you get this in your head and you'll have it in a nutshell. Reichel never told anybody. All I know is what you've just spouted. You sit here like a broken-down ham, dramatizing yourself, dreaming up things that never happened, making like a martyr, feeling sorry for yourself, leaving your wife at home, worried sick about you. You got a family to think of. Now, go on and get your coat. I'm taking you home.
I guess maybe you're right. I've been acting like a fool, haven't I? I'm sorry.
You'll feel lots better in the morning, Mr. Matthews. Now, come on, let's go.
Yeah. I'll put things away first. May I have my gun?
You better let me keep it for a while.
Oh, you don't have to worry, Mr. Stone. Not anymore. This note on the table, I was writing it to my wife when you arrived, telling her goodbye. Well, I changed my mind about dying.
Well, we all have our bad days. Shall we go?
Yeah. My gun, please. Oh, it's all right, really.
Well, okay. Here, I've taken out the cartridges. Souvenirs, you know.
Thank you. I'll put away these catalogs. Would you mind closing that window for me?
I walked over to the big window facing the street. It was wide open from the bottom. I reached up to close it just as a soft footstep sounded close behind me.
Why not?
And Matthews pushed me over the sill toward the street below.
General Mills is bringing you Night Beat, starring Frank Lovejoy as Randy Stone.
You know, this talk about breakfast of champions is the real thing. Jackie Robinson does eat Wheaties. So does Tommy Henrik. So does Mel Parnell. So does Bob Feller. And so does a gentleman named Mr. V.O. Hill, 1445 Massachusetts Avenue Northwest in Washington, D.C. Now, Mr. Hill is not a nationally famous figure, but he is a champion just the same. On January 7th of this year, he was playing golf at the Rock Creek course. At the 11th hole, Mr. Hill made a 148-yard drive against a pretty stiff wind and made a hole-in-one. You think he wasn't a champion for a while there? Brother. And I'm standing here telling you Mr. Hill eats Wheaties. He does. Says he eats them regularly. They're whole wheat, you know. There's a lot of energy in whole wheat. It's the kind of energy you need, whether you're dealing with a baseball bat or a golf club or a vacuum cleaner. Get your Wheaties come breakfast time and see if you don't have a better morning. Wheaties, milk, fruit. Breakfast of champions. It's for you, too.
And now back to Night Beat and Randy Stone.
Life, they say, is a continual process of getting used to things we hadn't expected. Like, for instance, getting pushed out of a guy's office window. I hadn't figured Harlan Matthews was that far off the beam, but that, of course, was my fault. From a character as neurotic as Matthews, I should have expected anything. I guess I was out more than a couple of minutes because when I came to, a cop had evidently just arrived on the scene. Voices crowded through my head against a backdrop of pain. I stared up at the moon shining brightly through a huge rip in the awning, and I tried to push myself up to a sitting position. And the cop bent over me.
Easy, how easy. I'll call an ambulance.
Wait a minute. Get Matthews.
Who?
Harlan Matthews, stamp dealer, 3rd floor. He pushed me.
Matthews, huh? Just wait here.
I took inventory of my legs and arms and found them in usable condition. I climbed to my feet. People crowded around, their voices blending in an unintelligible jumble of questions. I staggered through them toward the cab. Their faces swarmed about me, white and staring like faces in a nightmare. I reached out, found the door handle of my car. I opened it and got in. I sat there for a while, trying to reassemble my wits. My head throbbed with pain and my mouth was dry. I wanted a cold drink more than anything I could think of. So I found my keys and drove to the first drugstore I came to. It was the sight of the phone that made me remember Mrs. Matthews. She'd be anxious to know what happened. I had to tell her something. I rang her number.
Hello?
Mrs. Matthews, it's Randy Stone.
What happened? He didn't...
No, I got there in time.
Oh, thank God. Where is he?
Well, I thought he'd be home by now.
But he isn't. When did he leave?
Not long ago.
Well, when you left him, was he all right?
Oh, yeah, he was just swell. You ought to see me.
What?
I'll tell you what. I'll call Dr. Reichel right now and tell him the situation. He should be...
Oh, I got a call from Dr. Reichel just a little while ago.
Yeah?
That is, it came through a message service. They want Harlan to call Dr. Reichel right away. I called the doctor's office to find out why, but the doctor's not there. He's not at home either.
Well, why does Reichel want to see him? Didn't they tell you?
No. The message just said that it was very important.
I invested another nickel in the call to Dr. Reichel's office. There was no answer, so I sat down at the counter and had a cup of coffee. I felt somewhat better by now, although my head still throbbed and I still found it hard to unscramble my thoughts. I went back to the phone booth and called Dr. Reichel's home. Perhaps he'd returned by now.
Oh, what is it, please? Dr. Reichel residence?
Has Dr. Reichel come in yet?
No, Dr. Reichel, not here now.
Look, has there been anybody at the house to see him within the last hour or so?
No visitor. Too late. You call tomorrow, maybe. Yes? Goodbye.
I checked with Mrs. Matthews once again to see if Matthews had returned yet. He was still missing. However, since my last call, the police had dropped in. They wanted to talk to him about pushing someone out of a window. Someone who'd driven away from the scene without leaving his name, address, or license number.
You were with him, Mr. Stone. He couldn't have done it.
Oh, yes. Utterly fantastic. You'd better try to get some sleep, Mrs. Matthews. I'll ring you if I locate him. Good night. I headed out toward Dr. Reichel's residence on the northwest side, wondering just how foolish I was not to send the police out instead. Matthews did more than just pass from mania to depression. He'd made the round trip. The doc had been looking for him, but now he could be looking for the doc. I stepped on the gas. It was quite a drive to Dr. Reichel's home. When I got there, it turned out to be a sizable estate with an impressive driveway turning through the moonlit grounds. The dark hulk of a battered sedan stood parked near the head of the walk that led to the veranda steps. I pulled up behind it. I got out, and I gave it the once-over. I touched the top of the radiator. It was still warm. A parade of maples lined the paved walk. Ahead, the house stood dark and still. I lifted my hand to the doorbell.
Don't.
Well, hello, Matthews. Kind of thought you might be around.
What are you doing here, Mr. Stone?
When I hit the pavement, I kept bouncing until I finally landed out here.
I hardly expected to find you quite the same as when I left you.
Oh, I'm not. I'm smarter. Next time I get that gun you're holding, I'll know enough not to give it back to you.
Next time? There isn't going to be a next time, Mr. Stone. Not for you, or for your Confederate, the doctor.
Oh, yeah, of course. You could be faking. I took the cartridges out of that thing once.
Yeah, so you did. I might have forgotten to reload it. Why don't you try to take it away from me and find out? Well, come on. Is it loaded or isn't it? Make me show you.
Well, if I did, it might arouse the neighborhood, don't you think? You might not be able to hang around here waiting for Dr. Reichel.
Yes, Mr. Stone, I've already thought of that, or you'd have been dead by now. Unless, of course, the gun isn't loaded. I'm willing to let you force me to show you. All you have to do is take one step toward me. Just one step, Mr. Stone. One single step. And you'll know the answer.
Before I do, maybe you could give me some other answers. Answers to a few things I still don't understand.
Indeed? What, for instance?
Oh, for one thing, I still don't understand just what good it'll do you to kill either Dr. Reichel or me.
You know the answer to that, you and him both.
I wish I did.
He said he was my friend. It would help me if I talked, so I told him. Then I saw him talking to the FBI man at the federal building, and I knew I'd made a mistake, that he betrayed me.
If he had, would you be free now? Figure it out.
I have. They're just waiting to round up some witnesses who saw me shoot Captain Claney.
You're wrong, Matthews. You're dead wrong. Reichel hasn't told anyone at all, and he never will. Same goes for me.
I only wish to heaven that were true, because if it were, I'd never have a better reason for killing you than now, before you do have a chance to talk. But unfortunately, I'll never be sure that you haven't talked.
Well, kill me, there's one thing you can be sure of. Star billing in an execution party.
Really? But right now, it's you who are the star, Mr. Stone. Or maybe this gun isn't really loaded after all. Come on, find out. Give me an excuse for pulling the trigger. There he comes. Back. Against the wall. Stay where you are. Right there.
A cold wind rustled the maples as the big car came to a halt at the head of the drive. Hidden by the trees, its lights blinked out. By the veranda rail, a dozen feet away, Matthews crouched, gun raised. The trees hid whoever it was coming up the walk as the moonlight and shadow danced among the leaves.
Come on, Michael, come on. Keep coming, come on.
Matthews.
A little closer, a little closer.
In another moment or two, his target would be out of the shadow of the trees into the bright moonlight. Matthews!
Huh?
Those men with him.
Oh,
hiding among the trees, see? They're moving.
Where?
There. Huh? That shadow there, and over there, and over there. Can't you see them?
Yes, yeah.
They're covering him. He knows you're here.
I'll kill him.
They'll get you first. You haven't a chance.
No.
Drop that gun. Drop it.
They'll never get me. Never.
He thrust the gun to his own head and pulled the trigger 6 times before he ever got to it.
They'll never get me. Nobody.
mean he was trying to ambush me with an empty gun?
Yes, Doctor. Then he tried to blow out his brains with it.
Oh, poor fellow.
Looks to me like he's gone off his trolley, but for good. Look at him lying there, groveling in the dirt as though he were trying to hide.
Oh, dig himself in. Yes, he's living a moment of the war all over again. Harlan, stop it. Stop it.
Genusia, May 6, 1943.
Well, how did you know?
He told me. I guess Captain Claney got his revenge after all.
What do you mean?
Well, he shot Claney in the back and thought he got away with it, but look at him now.
Oh, Mr. Stone. This whole nightmare in the poor fellow's mind started when he observed me making an inquiry at Army Information Headquarters here. I was trying to locate the one man who could cure him.
Who?
Why, Captain Willard Claney, of course.
What's that?
But the reason I arrived here so late is that I've been wandering about looking for Matthews. I wanted to tell him that I finally succeeded. I found Claney.
You mean that...
The man's alive and well, working in a bank in Spokane. I spoke to him tonight on long distance.
Well, that's one for the book. Matthews must have just wounded him and then thought that he...
Matthews didn't even hit him.
He didn't hit him?
Doctor.
Wait a minute. Harlan. I think he's aware. Harlan. Do you hear me?
Dr. Reichel.
Did you hear what I said? Captain Claney is alive. You didn't kill him. Do you understand? You did not kill him.
You're lying.
No, I can prove it to you. Now, we can call him up. You can speak to him yourself. He's alive.
No, I shot him.
You thought you shot him, Harlan, but you missed. You missed.
No, I saw him drop. I saw him, and he dropped.
Oh, yes. Claney dropped all right, but not from your bullet. No. When I spoke to him on the phone tonight, he said that the only wound he received was a shell splinter in the chest. Why, he doesn't even remember a sergeant named Harlan Matthews.
What? You're joking.
No, Harlan, it's the truth.
I didn't kill him. I didn't kill him.
Know the truth, and the truth shall set you free, huh, Doc?
Well, for him, there's still a long, hard road ahead and plenty of work to do. But at least, Mr. Stone, we've reached the beginning.
Well, dawn is just around the corner, and the city lights are going out street by street, like the lights in some people's minds. Yes, they say the truth is a great mental healer. And I guess it is, if you can bear to face it. Okay, so let's face it. Copy, boy.
You are listening to Night Beat on the Wheaties Big Parade.
Whole wheat. Flakes of golden whole wheat. Sounds pretty good just like that, doesn't it? Everybody knows you need whole wheat, and Wheaties make a very nice way to get it. Breakfast time, lunchtime, any time's the time for Wheaties. Easy, too. Just open the package, pour those flaky little flakes into a bowl, sugar 'em, cream 'em, and be happy. That's Wheaties you're eating. Breakfast of champions. Wheaties. Get some.
Night Beat, starring Frank Lovejoy, is produced and directed by Warren Lewis and edited by Larry Marcus. Tonight's story was written by Irwin Ashkenazi with music by Frank Worth. The part of Harlan Matthews was played by Jeff Corey. Jeanette Nolan was Mrs. Matthews, and the doctor, Ben Wright. Listen next week at the same time and every week as Randy Stone searches through the city for the strange stories waiting for him in the darkness.
And this is your Wheaties man, Frank Martin, inviting you to listen also on Tuesday, that's tomorrow night, to the premiere of the Penny Singleton Show on the Wheaties Big Parade. See you then.
Going to bake a pie sometime soon? Make it with Crust Quick, the Betty Crocker pie crust mix. You know, it's a tender, flaky crust that's at the bottom of every delicious pie, sure as you use Crust Quick. And so easy.
Just add water to Crust Quick.
And what pie crust? Tender crust, tasty crust, rich, short, lovely crust, just like Betty Crocker makes. And you can make it.
Just add water to Crust Quick.
Crust Quick, the Betty Crocker pie crust mix. Night Beat came to you from Hollywood, Stay tuned for Christopher London over most NBC stations.
And now, This I Believe. A series of living philosophies presented in the hope they may help to strengthen and enrich your life. Here is Edward R. Murrow.
This I Believe. Eddie Cantor came from the Lower East Side of New York City to the top of the entertainment world. At 62, he is indefatigable as a comedian and as a humanitarian. Here are the personal beliefs of Eddie Cantor.
I'll never forget the first time I went to a buffet supper. The fancy dishes were too much for me. After a bad attack of indigestion, I concluded simple foods were best. So it has been with life. I suffered mental and spiritual indigestion until I stuck to staples: work, family, faith. It's been a winning combination for me. My family was the inspiration for my work. My work has been a success because of my partner. In show business, I'm known as a single act. This is not true. Every step of the way, I walked hand in hand with faith. This partnership began, I think, because as a child, we only had one book in the house, the Bible. I took every word literally. If little David, with God's help, could slay the giant Goliath, it would be an easy matter for me to overcome poverty and lack of education. I tried to follow all the precepts of the good book, but one in particular appealed to me, perhaps because of its practical aspects. Cast thy bread upon the waters, and thou shalt find it after many days. I made it my guide. In October of 1949, when I had the choice of doing a guest shot on radio or playing a benefit for refugee children at Grossinger's Hotel in the Catskills, I referred to my guide and chose Grossinger's. My bread came back to me not after many days, but that very night. I found Eddie Fisher, a boy who added much to my shows and brought me great personal happiness. One time, when I was starring in a Ziegfeld show, opening night fell on Yom Kippur, a high holy day for the Jews. I could not open. Did I suffer? No. A Jewish organization applauded this decision by sending a check to my pet project, Surprise Lake Camp, where poor children are given a holiday in the country. My life has been a series of proofs that the Bible is not only a literary masterpiece, but a workable theory for living. Running a close second to this book, with all the answers, has been my family. In an often insecure world, this was my haven. The one element I knew was unchanging. In good times, their pride in my accomplishments was a never-ending source of joy. In bad, the inspiration to push forward. I'll never forget 1929. Everything I had was swept away. My spirit might have gone with my assets if it hadn't been for my wife and children. Their confidence in my ability to succeed again made me ashamed to settle for less. This is only one instance. In my 40 years of marriage, my wife has never failed me. Each of my 5 daughters is a person I'd be proud to know if she were not my child. I've been happy most of my life because of these things in which I believe: work, family, faith.
Those were the personal beliefs of Eddie Cantor. His is one of the outstanding statements which appear in the new This I Believe book, now at your bookstore.
The makers of Camel cigarettes present Dick Powell as Richard Diamond, private detective. cigarette do doctors themselves smoke?
In a nationwide survey a few years ago, 113,597 doctors in every branch of medicine were asked,
What cigarette do you smoke, Doctor?
the brand name most was Camel. Again and again, in repeated surveys, the same preference was shown.
Yes, these surveys show that more doctors smoke Camels than any other cigarette.
Why don't you smoke Camels, too?
Now we bring you another transcribed adventure with Richard Diamond, Private Detective, starring Dick Powell.
Now, let's see. I play the red 9 on the black 10. Move the 8 of spades off this pile and put it over here. That gives me another king. Where's the 3 clubs? I'll sneak a look under here. No, ain't there.
Hello?
I'll be with you in a minute. Now, where do you suppose that 3 o'clock? Oh, well. Diamond Detective Agency. Anyone for Pinochle?
Rick, don't tell me you're still at it. You told me an hour ago you'd quit as soon as you'd won one game.
Won one game. That's nice and confusing, isn't it? Helen, baby, I wouldn't admit this to anyone but you, but I haven't even come close.
I was afraid of that. Have you tried stacking the deck?
Helen, that's cheating.
I know, but have you tried it?
But just once. But only in self-defense, and even that didn't help. I still lost.
Well, then I'm afraid you're hopeless. Why not give it up and come over here? We could play some gin.
Oh, no. I owe you 1,369 toothpicks now. That rate, I'll have to buy a lumber camp.
You there on the telephone.
Me?
Yeah, you the boss?
Well, no, not exactly. I'm just the owner.
That's good enough. If that's somebody wanting to hire you, tell him to call back.
Rick, is that man ordering you around?
He's trying.
You hear me? I said tell him to call back.
Now, just a minute.
That's right, killer. Stand up to him. We don't have to take no guff.
Well, honey, I wish you were here so we could get a look at the size of
You
it.
gonna hang up or not?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Richard Diamond, did you say yes, sir?
Yes, sir. I mean, yes, ma'am. I mean, bye. Bye, Helen, dear.
Okay. You said you were the owner of this outfit? That means your name's Diamond?
Yes, sir.
My name's Ed Barton, Diamond. Don't bother shaking hands, because I got a hunch you ain't going to go for the deal I'm laying down. That way there won't be any hard feelings. Reason I say that is because I've already been to 3 or 4 of you guys, and they didn't go for it. For my money, you're all a bunch of lilies.
Well, look, Mr. Barton, you
Now, don't get me wrong. That ain't saying you're like the rest of them. Truth of the matter is, I hope you ain't. The deal I got to offer takes a guy with a little backbone.
Well, suppose you tell me what the deal is before you get too involved with my sacrilege.
You've heard of the Barton Metal Works? Well, that's me. I'm the boss. Started out 15 years ago with a forge and an anvil. Today, I got over 40 men working for me, turning out some pretty big jobs. Contracts a lot of these guys around town will give their eye teeth for. If it's made of metal, Barton will make it. That's my motto.
Well, that's as good as some of mine. Go ahead.
Diamond, it took me a long time to get this thing going the way I want it, and now somebody's trying to mess it up for me. Trouble is, I don't know how much longer I can hold out. Loyalty is one thing, and staying with the sinking ship is something else again.
Very well said, Mr. Barton. Now, would you like to tell me what it means?
4 men quit on me yesterday, Diamond. 6 the day before, and no telling how many today. Word's getting around that the plant is jinxed.
Must be a pretty good reason for it, Mr. Barton. Men don't give up their living over a superstition.
Of course there's a reason for it. Why do you think I'm here?
You tell me.
Because I've had 2 accidents down at the plant in the past 4 weeks. 2 men killed in less than a month. That's a lot of accidents, Diamond.
Yeah, does seem to be stretching things a little.
So now, just because of that, the whole plant's supposed to be bad luck. Diamond, my production's beginning to slack off.
Mm-hmm. Well, just how accidental were these accidents?
Craziest things you ever heard of. Mike O'Brien tripped and fell over a steel rod. Larry Martin got in the way of the big hammer. Just one fool thing after another. Somebody's out to do me dirt, Diamond, and they're trying to get at me through the plant.
Yeah, but why, Mr. Barton?
How do I know why? They just are, that's all. Don't ask me if I got any enemies. I probably got more enemies than any man on the face of the earth. People just don't like me.
Can't understand that. Soft-spoken fellow like you. So, the idea is you want to hire me to go down there and see who's out to get you, huh?
That's right. Got a job already picked out for you down at the plant.
You mean I have to work, too?
Well, certainly. You don't think I'm going to pay you just to run around asking a lot of fool questions, do you?
No, I guess you wouldn't, Mr. Barton.
Well, how about it? You going to back down, too?
Mr. Barton, thanks to you, my girl already thinks I'm a coward. Looks like there's only one way to change your mind. Big Ed Barton came as close to a grin as he probably ever would, dumped a tidy retainer on my desk, and stuck out his hand. Coward that I am, I took off my ring and lost 5 fingers somewhere inside of his calloused palm. The bargain being sealed, Big Ed then drove me down to the plant.
Miller, this here's Richard Diamond. Private eye I told you I was getting.
Hi. All right.
Get him some clothes and put him on it right away. This is Steve Miller, Diamond, my foreman.
Sure.
And this guy gets $100 a day, Steve. See that he earns it.
I don't mind Big Ed, Mr. Diamond. He means well, but if it isn't made of metal, he doesn't understand it.
Yeah, I wonder how he'd react to a Geiger counter. Which way is the locker room, Mr. Miller?
Down this way, Diamond. Oh, and just call me Steve.
Oh, sure. A nice little place you got here. Being foreman must keep you pretty busy.
Full-time job, all right. I suppose Ed told you what he wants you to do.
Yep. Wait for an accident to happen to me.
Yeah, that's about the size of it. Whoever's behind this would try to get rid of you right away.
Oh, isn't there something else we could talk about? Income tax or the war or something pleasant like that?
Sure. Oh, locker room's right in here.
Good.
Big Ed and I have both gone over the entire personnel looking for a possible suspect. But just about everybody down here has been with us over 5 years. With the plant, that is.
Well, Big Ed seems to think he's got a lot of enemies, Steve.
Oh, it's just his way, Diamond. Ed hasn't any more enemies than the next fella. Oh, here's some stuff that ought to fit you.
Thanks. That's quite a uniform you fellows wear.
Uniform? Oh, the overalls, you mean? Oh, not so bad after you get used to them.
Oh? How long you been wearing them, Steve?
Most of my life, I guess. I was practically born in front of a forge. My father was a blacksmith.
All right. How long have you been with Big Ed?
From the beginning. Since before he moved out of the old shop into the plant here. Of course, I haven't always been foreman. That's only happened in the last... Oh, hi, Fred. Come in for a smoke. Diamond, meet Fred Larson. Hey, what's the matter, Fred?
I'm quitting, Steve.
Quitting?
That's what I said.
Oh, now, wait a minute, Fred.
Save your breath. My mind's made up.
Oh, I see. So it's even got to you.
Look, Fred.
Who's he?
Someone who isn't afraid to get down into the furnace room and take over Larry Martin's spot at the hammer. Diamond here knows the place isn't jinxed, don't you?
Well,
Better not answer that until you've been here a while, brother. I just about had it a couple of minutes ago myself.
You? How, Fred? What happened?
Raylan gave way up on number 5 catwalk. Right there where the plates are stored.
What?
That's what I said. If it hadn't been for that scaffolding, I'd have cashed in right then.
But those railings are always given out, Fred. You know that. It's been happening for years.
Yeah. But this one just came too close. I ain't stopping to pick up my check, Steve. Mail it to me.
Well, those railings aren't indestructible, Diamond. They just wear out.
What was he talking about? Plates.
Oh, I'll show you when we get up there. Number 5 catwalk's right above the big hammer.
Oh, all right. Well, I'm all dressed. How do I look? On second thought, don't answer that.
Oh, here's the place Fred was talking about, Diamond. Guess I can't blame him for quitting. Would have been a nasty fall.
Yeah. Hey, what's this stuff under the catwalk, Steve?
Oh, those are the plates. They're too heavy to lug back and forth, so we just store them up here on the scaffolding.
Oh, I see. You mean I'm going to work down there under these things?
That's where Big Ed told me to put you, Diamond. Now, he's the boss.
I guess that's right. If I ever forget it, I guess he'll come around and remind me. Well, the hammer's a pretty big piece of equipment, isn't it?
Sure is. But the work you'll do isn't hard. The plates come out of the furnace hot. It's your job to flatten them out. All you have to do is flip a switch on the hammer and roll the plates.
Roll the plates? Well, after that climb, I may not even be able to flip the switch.
Otto!
Got it, Stevie.
That's Otto Schmidt. He'll handle the furnace for you.
Well, looks like he can handle the whole factory.
Hello, Stevie. Is the fellow going to take Larry's place?
That's right, Otto. Rick Diamond, Otto Schmidt.
Howdy, Otto.
Hello.
He's a new man, Otto. Never worked in a shop before.
Yeah, I see that. Oh, don't worry. I take care of him.
Just how do you mean that?
Now, take it easy, Otto. Production isn't as important as safety right now. Remember that.
Yeah, I remember, Stevie.
Now, you'll be working all alone down here, Diamond. Just you and Otto.
Swell.
The main thing is to keep your eyes open.
Yeah, that's right.
All right, Otto. You can take over now.
Yeah, I take over now. You like it, yeah?
Yeah?
Just don't get too close to hammer.
No home should be without one. Great for straightening nails, pounding out meat.
Yeah, maybe pound out home, too. You think maybe you stay?
Sure. Why not, Otto?
You not scared, huh?
Should I be?
Yeah, maybe not. What kind work you do before?
Delivered telegrams.
Say, you pull Otto's leg?
With these gloves on, don't be silly. Hey, you better heat up this plate again. Hey, this hammer's going crazy or something.
Look out, Diamond! Look out!
Where? What?
Up there! Look out for those plates! Jump!
Before we continue with Richard Diamond, here are a few words about smoking enjoyment.
Among the many stars whose voices, whose throats are their fortunes, is Maureen O'Hara.
Maureen O'Hara's cigarette must suit her taste and throat, and that's the reason camels get Maureen O'Hara's vote.
Yes, Miss O'Hara tried the different brands and chose Camels. Beautiful Maureen found that Camels agree with her throat.
And Miss O'Hara's only one of the many famous stars who regularly smoke Camels. Some of the others are Dick Hames, Dennis O'Keefe, Linda Darnell, Henry Fonda, Vaughn Monroe, and our own Dick Powell.
Why don't you take a tip from the famous people whose throats are their fortunes and who smoke Camels? Make your own 30-day Camel test. Smoke only Camels for the next 30 days. Enjoy Camel's rich, full flavor, pack after pack.
See how well Camels agree with your throat, week after week.
Camels, smoke Camels, and see how mild a cigarette can be.
And now back to Richard Diamond, Private Detective, starring Dick Powell.
Well, Big Ed Barton had another accident on his hands. Otto Schmidt. They carried him out of the furnace room in bad shape, but alive. I went up to have a look at number 5 catwalk. And it took me about 20 minutes up there to decide that it hadn't been any more accidental than my working for Big Ed.
Oh, come on in, Diamond. I'll need your signature on this accident report.
You know, Steve, I don't think it was an accident. That scaffolding didn't come loose all by itself.
Yeah, well, I've still got to make out the report. Well, have a chair. I'll have this finished in a minute.
Okay, thanks. You handle the paperwork too, Steve?
Yeah, most of it. Anything concerning the plant itself usually falls in my lap. Ed doesn't care much for office work.
Well, I guess he would look a little out of character to that. And incidentally, how come that railing on number 5 catwalk hasn't been fixed yet? Seems to me that Fred Larson quit on the account.
What?
Whose department is that, anyway?
I reported it to Big Ed as soon as I could.
Oh? Well, where's Ed now?
Home, I guess. Want me to call and see if he's there?
No, that's all right. I think I'll just run over and surprise him. What's the address?
105 East Parkview. Big mansion, you can't miss it.
105 East Parkview, right. I'll sign that report when I get back, Steve.
So, what if it wasn't fixed, Diamond? Those railings cost money. I told Steve not to let that plant nickel and dime me to death, and I meant it.
Then you purposely let it go.
Now, wait a minute. I didn't say that.
But you don't have to, Barton. You got the report over an hour ago. That's plenty of time to get the work done.
Who told you I got the report, Diamond?
What difference does it make? You're responsible for the repairs, aren't you?
That's right. But don't think you're going to jump all over me, Diamond. Matter of fact, I didn't even know the railing was down until you told me just now. Anyway, I don't see what this has to do with what happened to Otto Schmidt.
You don't, huh? Well, I'll tell you, Mr. Barton. Someone got up there where the railing is out and loosened the braces on that scaffolding. If the railing had been up, he wouldn't have been able to reach it.
That's a lot of hogwash. I don't believe it.
I don't expect you to believe me, Barton, but talk to Otto. He saw who was up there. I saw part of him myself just before the plates started falling.
You mean Otto saw...
That's right.
Al, don't look at me. I told you I didn't know anything about that railing.
That's your story, Mr. Barton, and you better stick to it.
Where do you think you're going? I didn't say I was finished with you yet.
No, and I'm not finished with you, Barton. As soon as I've had a talk with Otto, I'm going to take off these overalls and get back into my own clothes, and then you can
You mean you're quitting? Walking out?
That's right. Now, don't worry. I'm going to find out who's behind this, but I'm going to do it on my own. In case you haven't gotten the idea, Big Ed, I don't like working for you. Otto, open your eyes. I want to talk to you.
No talk.
Why? It wasn't an accident, Otto. You know that.
No. It was accident.
Don't you want whoever's responsible for this to pay for it?
No.
What are you afraid of, Otto? Who are you hiding?
I'm afraid it's no use, Diamond. For some reason, he just won't talk.
But why? What's he afraid of?
That's all the time I can let you gentlemen have. You'll have to have some rest now.
Just a minute, Doctor. Mrs. Schmidt, talk to him, will you? See if you...
No. Otto don't want to talk.
All right. How long will it be before I can see him again, Doctor?
Well, that's hard to say. Several hours, anyway. You might check with the front desk later this evening. They can tell you more about it then.
All right, thanks.
Would one of you mind dropping her off? It's getting late. There's nothing she could do here.
I'll take her home, Diamond. You probably feel like a shower and a change of clothes anyway.
Thanks, Steve. But I've still got some work to do. I dropped by the Barton Metalworks to get my clothes out of the locker room, but the night watchman wouldn't let me in without a pass. Too tired to argue with him, I hopped a cab to my apartment for a change of clothes. Yeah, but wait till I sit down. I just got in.
There's that, Barton. Never mind sitting down. Get over to my house right away. I got something to show you.
I thought I told you.
I know what you told me, but this is pretty important.
All right, what is it?
A note. It was in my mailbox. No stamp, no address, nothing. Just the note.
A note? What does it say?
Well, the fellow used up a lot of words he didn't need, but the gist of the thing is I'm supposed to close down the plant or suffer the consequences.
Maybe that isn't a bad idea, Mr. Barton, if it'll stop these killings.
Well, it'll be a cold day in the furnace room when I close up. Of course, I might get out from under. Work some sort of deal so I wouldn't lose any money.
Yeah, you might do that. But... Whoever it was had been waiting out on the fire escape. The bullet thudded into the back of my best chair, and I got on behind it, wondering which drawer I'd left my gun in this time. After a while, when nothing happened, I sneaked to look around the arm of the chair.
Diamond, what's all the noise?
There was no one there.
Noise, Diamond?
And then I realized Big Ed Barton was still talking.
Hear me, Diamond? Speak up. What's going on over there anyway? What do you think?
Oh, this place gives me the creeps at night, Diamond. Especially way up here. No one around. Just a lot of machinery.
Yeah.
And what are we looking for, anyway?
Oh, I just wanted to have another look at this railing, Steve. Oh, by the way, where were you when I dropped by your place?
Just getting some air. I didn't know you were going to come by. Hey, couldn't we let this go till morning? I don't like it around here when it's quiet like this.
Why not?
I just don't, that's all.
You know, you look pretty good in a suit, Steve. You ought to wear one more often.
Oh, thanks, Diamond. You really think so?
Yeah. Never know to look at you now that you were just a foreman in the factory.
Just a foreman?
That's your job here at the plant, isn't it, Steve? But, doesn't it ever bother you working so many years for a guy who doesn't appreciate it? Especially now that the big contracts have started to come in. Ed's pulling in all the gravy, and you're still nothing but a foreman.
Quit saying that, will you? Quit saying I'm nothing but a foreman.
Why not? It's true, isn't it, Steve?
There's nothing wrong with being foreman. It's a very important job. I got charge of every piece of equipment, every man.
But not charge of the plant. Isn't that right, Steve? Someone else has charge of the plant.
Well, what if he has? Next to him, I'm the boss.
That's right, Steve. Next to him, you're the boss.
Suppose I told you he isn't the boss. What if I told you I was in partnership with Big Ed? What would you think of that?
I'd think it was kind of funny, Steve.
Oh, funny, is it? Well, that's the way it is. You can ask him if you don't believe me. He'll tell you.
I mean, it's kind of funny you're still wearing overalls and living in a boarding house when Big Ed has a mansion and a couple of servants. Doesn't add up, Steve.
No, not now it doesn't, but it will. Partner's entitled to full rights, isn't he? Big Ed kept promising me. All these years he's been promising me.
Promising you what, Steve?
As soon as the money started coming in. As soon as things picked up, I could get out of the plant. I could wear a suit on the job. Meet people.
Why should Barton promise you that?
Because we're partners, that's why. We went in 50-50.
When, Steve? When did you go in 50-50?
Almost 15 years ago. Down at the old place. I used to work the forge. Ed'd go out and get the jobs. He got to talk to the people. All I ever got to do was handle the forge.
I think I understand, Steve.
Then because he got the jobs, he thought he was entitled to more than I was. He said it was all his doing. I was just working for him. He put me on a salary. Made me work in the plant.
Well, what do you hope to get out of all this? Hating Big Ed is all right, Steve, but if he closes up the plant, you'd be out of a job.
But I won't be out of a job. I'll be in charge then. I'm a partner, ain't I?
All right, Steve, we can go back down now.
Down? Down where? Where are you taking me?
Downtown, to talk to some people.
You mean the police?
That's right. And, Steve, just in case you've still got that gun, I think it's only fair to tell you that this time I've got one, too.
Kind of quiet tonight, Rick.
Yeah, kind of quiet, Helen, honey.
Is it because you owe me 1,369 toothpicks?
Well, that could have something to do with it.
Then I'll get the cards and give you a chance to even the score.
Are you kidding? We'll be here for 6 months.
What's wrong with that?
Come to think of it, nothing.
Well, then leave us get the show on the road. While you sing me a song, I'll set up the card table.
Oh, Helen, you are just too good to me.
Ain't it the truth?
Fella comes home from the office, he's tired, needs comforting, and there you are. I just don't deserve someone like you.
Wait a minute. You're reading the wrong part.
Oh.
Maybe you'd just better sing, huh?
Yeah, maybe I better. I cried for you. Now it's your turn to cry over me. Every road has a turning. That's one thing you're learning. I cried for you. What a fool I used to be. Now I found 2 eyes just a little bit bluer. I found a heart just a little bit truer. I cried for you. Now it's your turn to cry over me.
Where'd the trombone come from?
I played it with my feet. Abe Lincoln taught it to me.
Gosh.
Gosh.
Gosh, and a whole lot of G's. Sometimes, Richard, you really get to me.
Now, steady, girl.
Richard, my fool, kiss me.
Oh, well, Here.
This is a kiss?
Well, honey, after all, I'm tired, sleepy, worn out, bushed, beat. Had a busy day.
You must have had a busy week. When I say a kiss, I mean a kiss. Come here. Now, that's what I mean when I say... Vic? Vic, what's wrong? It serves me right. I'm going to have to get myself a younger detective.
Dick Powell will return in just a moment.
No other cigarette has Camel's rich, full flavor and cool mildness.
That's because Camel's costly tobaccos are properly aged and expertly blended for flavor and mildness, for true smoking enjoyment.
Yes, and it's one of the reasons why Camel is America's most popular cigarette, by billions of cigarettes per year.
Are you smoking the cigarette that's enjoyed most in America? If not, start your own 30-day Camel test tonight.
It's a sensible test of cigarette mildness, based on steady smoking. Here's all you do. Smoke only Camels for the next 30 days.
You'll soon see how rich, how flavorful a cigarette can be, and you'll discover why Camel is America's most popular cigarette.
How mild can a cigarette be? Make the Camel 30-day test and you see. Smoke Camel and see.
Here's Dick Powell with a special message.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, to help bring pleasure to hospitalized veterans and members of our armed forces, the makers of Camel cigarettes send thousands of packs of Camels to veterans and military hospitals every week. This week's gift Camels are on their way to Veterans Hospitals Dwight, Illinois, and Whipple, Arizona, Rapid City Air Force Hospital, Rapid City, South Dakota, and to all hospitals operated by the Far East Command of the U.S. Army. Now, until next week, enjoy Camels. I always do.
Tonight's adventure of Richard Diamond was written by Ty Cobb with music by Frank Worth. Virginia Gregg was heard as Helen Asher. Others in the cast were Raymond Burr, Jack Moyles, Jess Kirkpatrick, Joe Duvall, and Alan Reed. Richard Diamond, Private Detective, is transcribed in Hollywood by Jaime Del Valle. Be sure to listen to another great Camel show, Vaughn Monroe and the Camel Caravan, every Saturday night. Many millions of Americans enjoy cigarettes regularly. One thing about cigarettes that many smokers may not realize is that more than half the money we pay for our smokes goes for taxes. Yes, that's right. 8 cents of the price of every pack we buy goes to the federal government, and 3 or 4 cents more in most states goes for state or city cigarette taxes. So that actually means that better than half the price you pay for cigarettes goes for tax. Listen next week for another exciting adventure of Richard Diamond, starring Dick Powell.
Now stay tuned, for This Is Your FBI, followed immediately by Ozzie and Harriet over most of these stations.
This I Believe. Edgar Kennedy is a British writer and political expert. At present, he is a member of the editorial board of the Refugee Survey Group, an independent body set up by the UN High Commissioner for Refugees. During World War II, he served in the Royal Air Force as an intelligence officer. Recently, he spent 8 months as a refugee expert with the Unified Command in Korea. The story of his experiences there was published under the title Mission to Korea. This is Edgar Kennedy's creed.
In order to explain what I believe, I must turn the pages of time backwards to ancient Greece. There its culture represented and was expressed by a motto, nothing to excess. This avoidance of extremes has always seemed to me the essence of the liberality which I hold, and which I believe to be derived from Greek humanism. In a world in which, as Oscar Wilde quipped, nothing succeeds like excess, I must be on my guard against the chimera of excessive wealth or excessive power. In this I find my classical education helpful. I believe that the grounding in classical thought teaches one to be critical, and that to apply the critical eye helps to create a better sense of values. It is easier, without loss of prestige, to modify my opinions if I am wrong, or withdraw from some position if it is untenable, if I do not adopt an extreme attitude. My liberal views make my work among uprooted humanity, called refugees, less difficult. For, as I have no fixed prejudices, I can identify myself more easily with their plight and attempt to find a solution. I believe, therefore, in a human approach to these problems, as I am always slightly mistrustful of any cut-and-dried plan for banishing any of the ills of mankind. I also have a deep abhorrence of any scheme which tries to force people into some rigid mold. In short, I believe in respect for the individual. I believe in avoiding condemnation. Humans may, and often do, act barbarically for motives they consider praiseworthy. My respect for the motives of, say, a Balt involuntarily joining the German forces because of his hatred of the Russians is balanced by an equal respect for the motives of a Yugoslav partisan who, Red Star in cap if he had a cap, killed the German invaders at sight. And yet I am not tolerant. I am somewhat suspicious of the word tolerance as used by so many people. It seems to me to carry a slight hint of condescension, as if to say, from my superior position I can afford to put up with anything. So, in that sense, I am not tolerant. Within certain cultural limits, differences in race, religion, nationality and so forth make slight impact on me, so tolerance is quite unnecessary. Often I disagree violently with certain views, but like Voltaire, I declare my willingness to defend with equal violence the right of the holders to express them. Usually, however, the views with which I disagree are extremes, as, on the political level, the defense of some totalitarianism of right or left. But totalitarian states, as a rule, become corrupt and self-destructive, and their destruction affords me considerable satisfaction from my liberal standpoint. It demonstrates the truth of Lord Acton's aphorism that power corrupts, and absolute power corrupts absolutely. Although my liberalism has its origin in the Greek motto, nothing to excess, my work often evokes a certain missionary enthusiasm, in that the personal satisfaction in having saved, as in Korea, a handful of orphan children seems justified by the trust in me among those I try to help.
They're the beliefs of Edgar Kennedy, a British author and refugee expert.
Mr. District Attorney, starring David Bryan. Mr. District Attorney, champion of the people, defender of truth, guardian of our fundamental rights to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness.
And now, tonight's story, the case of the moving van murders.
And now, here is our star, David Bryan, as Paul Garrett, Mr. District Attorney.
A man's home is said to be his castle, and it's up to the forces of law and order to uphold this principle. But the individual householder should exercise diligence in maintaining the security of his domicile, particularly when the family leaves for a vacation. As in the story you are about to hear, this is the time when thieves often move in.
Oh, now, look what you've done. What's the matter with you, anyhow? Don't you know how to handle a piece of furniture?
Listen, it was just as much your fault. You were supposed to balance it.
I ought to poke you right in the mouth.
Don't try it. There'll be more furniture busted around here and over your head.
Easton ain't gonna like it when we show up with that piece all marred up.
Let's leave it here. Easton don't have to know nothing about it. We've been here too long now anyway. Some of the neighbors might be getting wise.
What's that?
Sounds like somebody coming.
What's What's going on here? Who are you men? We're moving these people out. Who are you? I just happen to be the owner of this house, that's all. We thought you were away. Shut up. You thought I was away on vacation, is that it? I think you're a couple of crooks. I'm going to call the police about this. Oh, you ain't calling no police, buddy. That's what you think. Hey, get up, boy. Here. Let's get out of here.
He's going fast. I didn't hit him square enough to keep him down.
I'm not wasting no time.
Yeah, here he comes. He's going to chase us in the car.
That ain't going to get him nothing but trouble.
Take the road to the park, Duke. Ain't much traffic there.
Yeah, that gives me an idea. Hang on.
Yeah, here he comes right after us.
Well, there's the park right up ahead. That's where we'll take care of him.
What are you going to do?
Just hang on tight. You'll see.
No real rough stuff, Duke. I don't want to kill him.
You want to end up in a pen?
No, I don't want to end up in no pen.
And we got to take care of this guy. We can't lose that car. You know that, don't you?
We can get out and slug him again.
Too complicated. There's only one way to do this.
Hey, he's going to try to crowd us over, Duke. Get in front of us.
He's going to be sorry. So watch it, Duke. Watch it. Let him watch it. This is where he gets it.
You got him, Duke. He's catching fire.
That's his tough luck. We're getting out of here.
Hi, Chief. I've been wondering if you'd get here. Hello, Harrington. Now, I was in court when Miss Miller reached me with your message. She said something about a man being killed in a fight with moving men.
Well, that's my idea, Chief. And I'll tell you what. First, a man by the name of Meyer was run off the park road about 2 hours ago. Car caught fire, and when they pulled him out of it, well, you know what.
Yeah, that's a hard way to die.
Lucky for us, there were a couple of kids playing ball in the park. They said it was a hit and run with a truck involved.
Did they say what kind of a truck?
A moving van. And when I got here to the man's address, I find the doors wide open, the house empty of furniture, and this hat on the floor. Now, the neighbors say they noticed the moving van, and it didn't have any name on it. The whole thing was covered by a big canvas. I've got a theory.
The furniture was being stolen.
Check. Mr. Meyer happened to walk in on them unexpectedly. They clobbered him and got going. But he chased them, and that leads us to the wreck in the park.
I think you've got it, Harrington. Now, let's take a look through the house. Well, I left the phone anyway. Wonder if it's still hooked up.
It is. I called Miss Miller from here.
Oh. Well, here's something. Looks like a furniture pad.
Yeah. That belonged to the moving van.
It's a brand new one, too. Let's see if we can find the name of the maker on it.
Here it is, Chief. The Acme Awning Company, 234 Front Street.
Where's that phone?
District Attorney's Office.
Hello, Miss Miller.
Oh, Mr. Garrett, did you find Harrington?
Yes, I'm with him right now. I'd like you to check up on something for me, Miss Miller.
All right, Chief.
Now, this thing looks like a robbery and a murder setup. Some crooks emptying a house of furniture killed the owner of the place when he showed up unexpectedly. And we've got just one real clue, a furniture pad.
Furniture pad?
Those big canvas pads that moving men use to protect furniture.
Oh, sure.
Call the Acme Awning Company, 234 Front Street.
I've got it.
If they've sold more than one, get the names of all the buyers.
All right, Mr. Garrett.
We'll see you later at the office.
I only hope the awning company has a record on it.
I hope so, too. Oh, and there's something else.
Huh? What's that, Chief?
We'll need a list of the items of furniture that were taken.
Well, neighbors ought to be able to help out on that.
That's a good idea. Let's try them.
There's Easter waiting for us. We're going to tell him about that guy?
I'm going to tell him plenty.
Get that truck in the back end of the lot. I told you before about leaving it here.
I want to talk to you.
So you want to talk to me? Brody can drive it back, can he?
Okay, I'll drive it back.
Getting in kind of late, ain't you, Duke? Listen, Easton, that's your fault.
What are you talking about?
I'll tell you what I'm talking about.
You got us into a mess because you didn't have that job case right.
You got the furniture, didn't you?
Yeah, you said those people were going to be away.
They were away.
Then why did the guy come walking in on us?
So he happened to come home. You can't figure out everything.
He come home all right. And we had to run him off the road to keep him from chasing us right into this yard.
All right, so you got rid of him. What are you beefing about?
I figure we took a big chance this time. I figure we ought to have a bigger cut.
Duke. You got a nerve coming in here and talking to me like that. You know I got a notion to throw you right out in your face.
Don't get tough with me, Easton. I wouldn't like it.
No. Well, let's see how you like this. I'm running this show, Duke. You do like I say. Why, you... So you like this. Like I said, Duke, I'm running this show. You're a good man. You want to play it smart and stay with me, all right. But tell me, right now. Okay. You're with me. That ain't answering the question. Okay. So I'll stay with you. That means you're taking orders and no beats. Okay. All right. Now look, with that new load we got, there's too much in the warehouse. You and Brody take the rig over there and load up for a trip out of town. Where? I'll tell you later. Looks like we got company. Yes, sir. What can I do for you?
You the owner here?
That's right. Who are you?
Name is Harrington. This is Mr. Garrett, district attorney.
Yeah? What do you want me for?
The sign says you rent out trucks.
That's why I put the sign up there.
I'm going back and help Brody, Mr. Easton.
In just a minute. You work here?
Yeah.
What kind of work do you do?
I just work around the yard, moving trucks, that kind of thing.
What's your name?
Duke Conlon.
How long have you worked here?
6 months, maybe. Ain't that right, Mr. Easton?
Yeah, that's about right.
Anything else, mister?
No, that'll be all for now.
What do you mean, for now?
Did you rent out any trucks today, Easton?
Look, what's this all about? You come in here asking a lot of questions. Why should I have to tell you my business?
A house was robbed a few hours ago. All the furniture was shoved into a truck and carted away. When the owner tried to stop it, he was run off the road and killed.
So what's that got to do with me?
The truck left a pad behind that came from this lot.
A pad?
A canvas-covered furniture pad. We checked with the awning company that made it. They said it was sold to you.
Now, wait a minute. I run a truck rental yard. I rent out rigs to whoever comes in here and puts up the price. If somebody use one of my trucks to pull a robbery, I can't help it. I got no control over what they do when they leave the lot.
How many trucks did you rent out today?
3 or 4, maybe.
Are you all back?
Yeah, they're all back.
Could we see your records for the day?
Yeah, just a second. I'll get them for you.
What do you think about this setup, Chief?
I don't like the looks of it.
No, I don't either. Look, there's another guy at the back of the lot. This is a pretty small place. They all work here. They must be tripping over one another.
Here comes our man back.
Look, I've been thinking about this. Why should I give you my records?
Well, they could be important to our investigation.
Sorry, nothing doing.
We've got ways of getting them, you know.
Sure you have. And when you come in here with a court order, I'll hand them over. But not until.
You don't want to help us at all, do you?
Why should I? Nobody pays me to be a cop.
Let's go, Harrington.
Yeah, that guy's got a disposition like a bucket of worms. Why don't we just take him in? Might not be so lippy when we get him downtown.
We need something specific to go on.
What about the pad?
He's got the answer for that. It could have been lost by someone who rented a truck.
You don't believe that. Neither do I. But he's going to dummy up a phony record that'll make it look that way. Then he can blame the robbery on someone who doesn't even exist.
Now, that's the reason he won't let us see those records right now. But I might surprise him by getting here with a court order before he expects it.
Now, why would they be driving that big van off the lot? Hey, did you see who was at the wheel?
Yes, the yard man.
They got a gas pump here and a lube rack. No reason to drive it out when it's not rented.
Unless they want to move some furniture on their own. This could be the break we're looking for. I can take a cab into town. Get in your car and follow them.
Right.
With the family away on a vacation, the home has been broken into by crooks who loaded the furnishings into a moving van. But the man of the house had appeared unexpectedly, and the crooks had killed him. An important clue was a heavy canvas furniture pad that we traced to a truck rental yard. The operator of the yard, a man named Easton, refused to help us. So while I went to pick up a court order to compel his cooperation, Harrington followed a truck that left the yard under suspicious circumstances.
District Attorney's Office.
Here's Harrington, Miss Miller. Chief come in yet?
Not yet, Harrington. Any message?
Just tell him I followed the truck to a warehouse on Stacy Street, 312. I'm calling from a phone booth right near the place.
You going to make an arrest? Will you need help?
I don't know yet. I'm going in now and find out.
Okay, Duke, come back a little more. A little more. That's it.
All right, let's get this thing loaded.
You got the key?
Right here. Give me a hand.
Yeah. Man, that's a lot of furniture we got here.
A lot of dough in it, too. Let's get going.
How about this one to start with?
Okay. Lights on.
All set?
Check.
Hey, this is all fancy stuff. They ought to be able to peddle it quick.
Now, the quicker the better.
Uh-oh.
Put it down.
It's a cop.
Better let me handle it.
I thought you fellas were supposed to be in the truck rental business.
We are.
What do you do, rent them furnished?
This is just a moving job we're taking care of.
Quite a job. Who are you doing it for?
We have to ask the boss about that.
I don't see the boss around.
You can find him if you go back to the lot.
You'd like me to do that, wouldn't you?
I don't know what you mean.
Let's go inside and see what you've got in there.
Listen, mister, we got work to do. We got no time to gabble.
You can take time.
I'll stay out here and load this piece in the van.
Wait a minute. You better come in with us. Let's go. You've got enough stuff here to stock a department store.
Well, it's a warehouse. That's what it's for.
Where did all this furniture come from?
Well, like I said before, why don't you talk to the boss?
Did you fellas bring any of this stuff here?
Yeah.
Where'd you pick it up?
Different places.
What kind of places?
Houses, stores, I don't know.
This table here. Where did it come from?
I don't remember.
Well, I think I can tell you where it came from.
I don't see how you can.
An oval dining table, antique pine. That happens to be on a list of articles stolen from a house this morning. There's more in this same group that are on the list. You want to hear them?
Why, tell us about it.
Because you probably brought them here.
Oh, you're crazy.
You're under arrest, both of you.
What for?
Suspicion of burglary and homicide.
What do you mean, homicide?
The owner of that house was run off the road and burned to death. You're going to have to tell us about that, too. Let's head for my car.
They ain't heading nowhere, mister. Don't you make any moves till you get a bullet through your back.
Well, boss.
Yeah, that's right. The boss.
It's a good thing you got here, Easton. He was going to horse in.
He never had a chance. I saw him follow you, and I followed him.
You people are in a mess. Now, if you're smart, you won't make it any worse than it is.
Yeah? What should we do? Roll over and play dead? Look, I don't figure it's going to get any worse than it is. All right, get his gun, Duke.
Yeah, Now, listen. You're under arrest, too, Easton. And I'm warning all of you. Anything you say might be used as evidence.
These guys never know when they're losers, do they?
Shut up. What are you going to do with him, Easton?
Well, I ain't going to let him picket the place. I'll show you what I'm going to do with it. Yeah. That ought to take care of him for a while.
Yeah, but what about when he comes out of it? This guy knows all of us. He can identify.
Don't worry, I got plans for him. All right, pick him up.
All right, come on, Brody.
Yeah. Brother, is he out?
That's what we want. All right.
Take him out to the van.
Yeah.
Mr. Garrett, better keep the engine running.
Is something wrong, Miss Miller?
I was hoping I could catch you down here.
Well, what's the matter?
Harrington phoned a while ago.
What'd he say?
He said he followed a truck to a warehouse on Stacy Street. Said he was going to move in and might make an arrest, and I got the feeling he might need help.
Get in. What was the number on Stacy Street?
312. I probably shouldn't have left the office, but I knew you'd be driving into the parking lot, and I thought this might be urgent.
You did just right. It could be urgent.
All set? Yeah, we're all set. That guy still unconscious?
He's out cold.
He ain't dead, is he?
No, he's still breathing.
That's too bad. Hey, where are you going?
Well, I was just going around back.
Come here.
What do you want?
Trying to sneak away, huh?
Well, I didn't have nothing to do with this thing, and I think you guys in pretty deep.
What do you mean you didn't have nothing to do with it? Look, you're in with us. Right up to the top of your yellow streak.
No, wait a minute, Easton. I didn't hire on to come and murder.
You're going to do like I say.
You can't kill cops and get away with it.
We can't leave this one alive and get away with it.
He's right, Brody. We gotta do it.
Not me. I'm getting out of here.
Now, you try that again, and the next one goes through your back.
Okay, Easton, okay.
Get in the truck with Duke.
How do we do this, Easton?
Head north out of town.
To the freeway?
No, not to the freeway. We want some privacy on this job. Head for the road alongside the river.
Okay. Where on that road?
Turn off just before you get to the bridge. To the right, there's a road there.
Yeah, I know.
Go about 100 yards and then pull over.
I'll follow you. What about this guy's car?
I'll be in it. When we get through with him, we'll leave his car alongside the road so it'll look like an accident.
That's a good idea.
Go on, get going.
Come on, Brody.
I hope I'm all wrong about this, but when Harrington says he'll call, he usually calls.
Well, you'll soon find out if anything's wrong. Here's the warehouse.
You going to drive right in?
Might be better if we stop right here across the street. Doesn't seem to be a truck there.
Mr. Garrett, wasn't that Harrington's car?
Certainly was, with a stranger driving it.
Then something must have happened to Harrington.
Yeah, it looks that way.
You better stay with that car, Chief.
Don't worry, I will.
We're almost there, ain't we, Duke?
Yeah, you asked me that a dozen times already.
Well, Easton ain't behind us yet.
Don't worry about Easton. He knows where we're gonna be.
I don't like this deal, Duke, you know that?
Yeah, you already said so, but we're going through with it anyway, so come on. Now, let's get him out of there.
He's conscious.
All right, you. Get out.
I'd be delighted. Here comes Easton.
I told you he'd show up.
That's another one against him. Stealing a car.
Keep your mouth shut.
Good. You got him out of there. Better close the doors, Brody.
Yeah.
All right. Let's get him down the river. Come on, Cap. Move.
Well, what are we going to do with him?
We're going to hold his head on until he drowns. Then we'll put him in his car and run it into the river. Does that sound all right?
Sounds great.
Not to me, Nathan.
You try that again, and you get a bullet right through the head right now.
A minute ago, you said you were going to drown me. You mean I got a choice?
Let's get him down there.
It'll be easier to do this if we tie his feet, Easton.
All right. Take off your belt and strap him up.
Fellas are crazy if you think you can get away with this.
Who's going to find out about it?
That's right, cop. They're going to have a hard enough time just finding you.
Come on, Duke. Get the belt off.
We'll use Brody's belt.
You'll stay right where you are without moving.
Cops!
Go on. Shoot some more, Captain. I got your man in front of me. Go on, shoot some more.
Just think you got me, Easton. We're both going into the
All right, don't try to get away. Oh, I quit, mister. I'm not trying to go nowhere.
My arm. I think you broke my arm.
You were firing at me. I had to do something about it.
I'll take care of him, Chief.
All right. Up the bank.
Give me time. You twisted most of the breath out of me.
You all right, Harrington?
Yeah.
fine, Chief. But how did you happen to get there?
Oh, you can thank Miss Miller for that. She had an idea you might be able to use a little help.
Oh, and was she right? Thanks, Miss Miller.
Anytime, Harrington.
How's the man's arm?
I'm all right.
You're all under arrest.
Yeah? What for?
Several things, including murder.
Not me. I didn't kill nobody.
Then you'd better be ready to tell us all about it.
Keep your mouth shut, Brody. You hear me?
You're wasting your breath, Easton. With a bunch like this, somebody always sings. Loud and long.
And you're going to find that out the hard way, Easton. Come on, let's go. This was a case that hit the front page. The man we called Duke was tried and convicted of murder in the first degree. With Brody, he was also found guilty on charges of breaking and entering and burglary. Easton was convicted for receiving stolen goods, for being an accessory before and after the fact, for conspiracy to commit murder and assault with intent to commit murder. Duke and Easton will spend most of their lives in prison. Brody received a lighter sentence for turning state's evidence. Now, this is David Bryan inviting you to join us when we present our next case based on the facts of crime from the file of Mr. District Attorney.
You have been listening to Mr. District Attorney, which has come to you through the worldwide facilities of the United States Armed Forces Radio and Television Service.